before I started, I took a sip of my Starbucks and it went down a little wrong. You know, not the like I gotta stop, I gotta hack, I gotta cough, but it's like half of it went into my lungs. And I'm like, well, I could breathe a little bit of coffee. I mean, you know, as long as it's not a lot of coffee.
That's how you get more energy. You got to put it in your lungs.
That's right. I'm just going to start aspirating coffee. The regular ways are done. Let's go with the weird shit.
It's like the abyss, but it's coffee.
I don't make enough money to afford cocaine. So welcome back, everybody, to the RageSelect podcast. You're RageSelect. I'm Jeff.
And I'm Mike. You got to cut it into different things.
That's right. No, I said I can't afford cocaine.
Well, that's where you get the cheap ones that they cut into it or whatever that can kill you horribly if you do it wrong.
So like mostly just ground up elementary school chalk, and like a little bit of Drano and just like a little like a Salt Bay of cocaine over the top.
Yeah,
like,
the ones that are like $5 in the 7-Eleven or whatever.
The trucker speed?
Trucker speed,
Oh, God, I'm not looking to die. I mean, I don't know. I'm drinking a lot of coffee today. I might be looking to die, but you know,
who knows?
If I die, bury my body in video games. Put me in, coach. I'm ready to go. It's a weird week for video games.
Yes.
We may actually end up with a shorter podcast. A lot of it just depends on how many sideways tangents there are, but
True.
It's a strange bunch of news. But before we get to that, right before we started recording, I just finished watching The Fall Guy.
Yes. How was what did you think?
Okay. I think that I have let's see, what is it? I got that one. I got that one. And I got that one. Okay. Number one. Let me just say, really liked it. Fuck, that was great. Gripping, couldn't look away. I loved it. But here are my things. Number one, they should not have called that movie The Fall Guy.
No, I agree on that one, actually. 100%.
Like trying to tie it to some nostalgia. The thing that I kept thinking was like, nobody cares about The Fall Guy.
No.
Like, that
I was talking to Chris about it, and he's like, I don't think I've ever seen The Fall Guy. I'm like, you have never seen The Fall Guy?
Yeah. Yeah. This would be like doing I was going to say doing an Airwolf reboot, but I think people would actually care more about Blue Thunder reboot.
Yeah, it'd be more of a Blue Thunder reboot.
And people would be like, what? Because it sounds like it's not a great like name. And then two, I think that the trailers buried the best part of that movie.
It sells a completely different movie if you watch the trailers.
The trailers make it seem like it's going to be a slam bang action movie, and it kind of is, but that's not what makes it good.
No,
like,
not at all.
What makes it good is the just like fucking redonkulous chemistry between Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt.
Right.
Like, the two of them, I was like, man, I'm rooting for you crazy kids. Like, they were, you know what I really appreciated? I looked it up while I was watching it.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Gosling's like 43 and Emily Blunt is like 41. So it's not one of these like, I got a 55-year-old Tom Cruise and his love interest is a 27-year-old lady that's been in like 2 shows in Euphoria or whatever, right? Like, it's like 2 40-year-olds. And I really liked the interactions between them. It was so like sweet, to the point where I was almost like, maybe we could tone down some of these action scenes a little bit to have a little more of this part, because it's so
most
fun.
Gripping
like,
part of the entire story.
Yeah.
You're just like, I can't look away from you two.
Yep.
And you're so like misunderstanding each other, and it's frustrating the hell out of me.
Mm-hmm.
God, it's so good.
And then I think the third thing is like, okay, this doesn't apply to everybody.
Mm-hmm.
And I know that the movie is like mostly out of theaters and mostly on VOD, and this doesn't count for all that much. But like, if you're one of those people that's like, oh, I'm so sick of all the cookie cutter Marvel sequels, you know, just bullshit, maybe go buy this on VOD. Like, because the thing is that it, like, somebody tried really hard with this one.
Yes.
Everybody was trying really, and not even just like, I want to make sure to call it out. All the cast did such a great job.
Yes.
The Ted Lasso lady that played the producer, she was amazing. I didn't even realize it was her, she shows up in the kind of 80s hair and the big glasses for a little while. And
I didn't realize it was her for a while there.
And then the guy from that was in Us, he was the dad in Us.
Yeah.
He was in Black Panther. The stunt friend guy.
I literally knew his name earlier, and I already forgot what his name
I'm
is.
sitting in front of the entire internet. Let me just,
because he's so fucking. my only issue is he's not enough in the movie. Is the only issue I actually have with it. But he's so much fun in it.
So let's see. Aaron Taylor Johnson was the scumbag actor. He was good. Hannah Waddingham was Gail. She was great. Winston Duke.
That's right. That's his name.
He was so good. Like whole cast shot well. Even the action that I was like kind of complaining about. You know, there's one scene where they've got like an action sequence that's cutting back to like a karaoke bar in between, and I was still just like really into it.
That action sequence, you're like, I'm amazed no one has called the cops in this entire sequence.
Well, yeah.
I guess Australia is built differently.
Yes. Yeah. I mean, the plot is ridiculous, but it's ridiculous, in a fun way. So
it's very fun. And it has so many setups that are paid off. So many of them, like 90% of the setups are paid off in ways that you're just like, I didn't even realize that was a setup, and you did it.
Yep.
Holy shit!
In a way that good movies that are clever do.
Yeah.
And a lot of times I think we forget because we end up watching, so many just like, that was all right, that was all right, that was all right, and it's just so nice to see a movie where it's like everything comes together. There's setups, there's payoffs, there's characters, they've got motivations, you understand why they're doing stuff, and you kind of care about what's going on. Actually, you know what? I really would like to just take a moment to say, if this already isn't on your radar, it's a movie about Ryan Gosling. He's a stunt guy. Some shit happens and he's kind of out of the stunt game, and then he comes back years later, and him and Emily Blunt had a relationship, and then they come back and they don't have a relationship, and it's kind of unclear what's going on. Will they, won't they, that kind of thing. Amazing. And then there's kind of a crime mystery that's going on at the same time as this romance. It reminded me of two other movies. It reminded me of Grosse Point Blank in the romantic comedy meets a lot of people shooting at each other
I was
genre.
thinking the same thing when I watched it.
And it also reminded me of Kiss Kiss Bang Bang because it was just very clever dialogue, the kind of Hollywood angle of like movie making, and
it's very meta when it comes to stuff like that.
Yeah.
The same way, yeah.
Just really clever, really great. And I'm just so afraid that it's, like, I don't know, it made some money, right? But it didn't make all the money.
No.
So
it didn't do nearly as well as anybody anticipated. That's the thing, is like it checks all of these like boxes that you think would have been a major hit. Like it definitely would have been a major hit like 10 years ago.
Yeah.
But then for some reason it just didn't connect with people. And I think it is because it sold itself as a completely different movie.
Yeah.
Because if you guys watched the trailers, I decided to watch the last trailer they did for it. I was like, what is this movie? I've never seen this movie.
This isn't the movie I watched.
This is a completely different movie. There are whole scenes in that trailer that aren't even in the or aren't in the movie, or are different takes that are never happened in the movie version.
It's
and I was
very
like,
strange.
That's fucking weird.
What it smacks of is like some producer, some Hollywood person, they watched this movie and they went, nobody's going to care about a movie that's a will they, won't they with Ryan Gosling and Emily Blunt. Make it explosions. Make it explosions. Get those stupid Marvel pukes in here to watch this. Get those nostalgia boners who are going to be like, ooh, the Fall Guy. I love the Fall Guy, even though nobody's ever fucking said that.
No one. Not even, I don't think Lee Majors has ever said that either.
They didn't learn from like the Mod Squad, the A-Team, Lost in Space. Take your pick. Like Maverick. That was a good one.
I like
Maverick, but like, it in this particular media environment, it doesn't hold up as well. And I almost wish that they had spent, because obviously the lion's share of a lot of the biggest parts of the budget went to the stunts and the explosions and the action scenes. Yeah. But that wasn't the draw. And so I wish they
really wasn't
roped that in a little bit to make it cost a little bit less, so that they could have the expectation wouldn't have had to be out of this world that it was going to make billions and billions of dollars in order to be considered quote unquote a success.
To give you guys an example of how different that trailer is, there's a sequence in the trailer where it's Emily Blunt looking over footage, and it's all like Ryan Gosling, and it makes you think, oh, she's watching like stunt footage and stuff like that. It's like, none of that shit's part of that movie at all. Like it is, but it isn't like her watching any of that stuff.
Yeah.
You're like, what the fuck happened here?
Yeah. So I really enjoyed it. But see, the thing is that like, people kept telling me it was good. Like, there's a lot of buzz online saying it's good, but I think I was also just like, I watched the trailer and it was okay. There's one more thing. I have put my hand on the movie stove too many times. I'm cautious when people are like, no, this time the stove is cold. And I'm like, that's what you said last time. And I got burned. Like, what are you talking about? You said this movie was good. And then I went and watched it. I was like, this wasn't good. What are you kidding me? That was fucking terrible.
That does happen.
Like, Godzilla Kong the New Empire has like a 92% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes, and I'm like, absolutely not.
That's your first mistake.
Absolutely
is
not.
you follow that score, as the main one to go by.
Well, no. See, I've learned the code. Did I tell you this?
No, I don't
I've
think
learned the code. Okay, so if it's got a high critic score and a low audience score, I need to look at it and think about it. If it's got a low critic score and a high audience score, skip it. It's fucking stupid. That's what happened to Bright. All right, there's never been one of those where it's like, no, it turns out the unwashed masses were right, and it was actually really good. And movie critics have no idea what the fuck they're talking about. And then if it's got high both, go right ahead. That was what happened with the Contestant, or that Hulu thing that I watched. I just looked at it, was like 90-90, and I was like, sold. I don't even know what this is. It's got a naked Japanese dude on the thumbnail. Let's go. So yeah, I think it's really good, and I think that a lot more people should watch it. I think it'll end up probably, what's sad is that it will probably end up being really well regarded once it finally comes to some kind of streaming service.
Oh yeah.
But it's kind of a too little too late. Well, except what? The guy that made it, this David Leitch.
Yeah, he's a big time. He used to be a big time stunt guy, but he helped make the John Wick series become a thing.
Yeah, he was kind of he was like co-director on John Wick, but then the thing is that he made a lot of movies that I feel like are all this exact same thing.
Oh, for the most part.
Atomic Blonde, Deadpool 2, Hobbs and Shaw, Bullet Train. Now, I would say that Bullet Train is probably the best of those movies that I just listed out, except for I have a really special place in my heart for Hobbs and Shaw because it's so stupid. It loops back around to being awesome.
That's fair. That's fair on that one.
Idris Elba is evil Captain America in that movie.
Pretty much. Although he calls himself evil Superbad.
Yeah.
Or black Superbad.
Like Bullet Train was great. I loved that.
Exploded once it reached streaming.
Yeah. But I don't know. So they're probably going to, they're probably not going to like tell this guy he can't do anything anymore. But
no, well, and he tends to make stuff under budget for the most part, and he's consistent.
Yeah,
and people like what he does, and I'm hoping that it keeps that they're able to make more. He's able to make more things like this, because the movie is just a giant love letter to his profession.
Yeah,
which was stunt people, and it even has a long montage like the old Jackie Chan films of just like, here are all the stunts.
Right,
just watch them do them.
Yep,
and I'm like, this is fucking cool. I loved it.
It was great. It was. I really liked it. I hope that more people watch it. I don't want to oversell it or anything. Like it wasn't the best movie I've ever seen.
It'll change your life. I'm just kidding.
But it was very fun. It was 2 hours that were not wasted. I didn't have to keep making myself go back to it. I was consistently engaged. So, what about you, Michael? You do anything good?
Trying to remember what I did. That's because one of them is the Furiosa thing, but I feel like I should wait on that because the review is out. So if you really want to hear my thoughts, you can go listen to that. But I don't want to accidentally spoil anything for Jeff, so I'm just not going to say anything about that.
I appreciate that.
So I will talk about something that just ended right now, because speaking Godzilla Cross Kong, I was mentioning this to Jeff. They finished the Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong crossover miniseries that they started, I think, like last year or something.
In the comics.
Yes. In the comics that they did. And that shit was weird. It's very strange. So the plot is that
who wrote it?
I forgot. I meant to look at it, but I forgot who was the writer. But the plot is that the Legion of Doom breaks into the Fortress of Solitude to try to steal some of Superman's like shit that he has there.
Uh-huh.
And Toyman ends up grabbing the Dreamstone because he just thinks it's pretty, and it accidentally alerts the Justice League's there. And Superman, in the meantime, is trying to propose to Lois for marriage while this is going on, and so he accidentally transports them to Monster Island. but it's like, but it turns out Monster Island is in a different universe. So it's not like it's the same universe.
Okay.
And so what happens is that he ends up making the rest of the Legion just like gives Toyman shit.
Yeah.
And so he's like, well, fuck you guys. And he ends up accidentally wishing that Godzilla and the rest of the Titans, as well as Monster Island itself, ends up in the DC universe. And so
contrived nonsense.
So Godzilla goes straight for Superman because he's the strongest thing on the planet.
Sure.
And Godzilla likes to fight the strongest
He's
things on the planet.
Alpha Titan.
Yeah, and then everybody else has to fight the other characters. Eventually Superman is defeated by Godzilla thanks to what I call the hot rod syndrome, where he's fighting Godzilla and Captain Marvel's like, I'm helping. and then Superman is just like fucking, it's like, it's the same thing. Like, it's like, get out of the way, hot rod. What the fuck?
Right.
And then he gets taken out by Godzilla. And so there everybody's trying to figure out what to do. Eventually they figure out what's going on, and then Batman has like an anti-kaiju robot.
What?
And then somehow eventually Lex Luthor gets Mecha Godzilla somehow.
Sure.
And there's just this giant battle.
Yep.
And for some reason, Guy Gardner dies.
Well,
and
there you
then
go.
when he dies, Kong gets the ring, and it's just crazy. It's crazy as shit. I liked it because it's just crazy, and I had fun with it. But
sounds
it
like
was really fun.
That sounds like some silliness right there.
It's silly.
That sounds like that silliness.
If you like those movies and you're like, this is silly,
Yeah.
then read those comics because they're also silly as hell.
Yeah.
But you also get to see Superman fight Godzilla in fucking one-on-one combat, and that's really cool.
Okay.
So yeah,
Fair enough. Well,
highly recommend it. Even though everything I said sounds like a batshit insane thing.
Yeah, I would like to say everything that you just said out of your mouth sounded horrible to me, but I guess, it's one of those things where people complain a lot about comics. They're like, comics are stupid now. And anybody who's read comics for a long enough time is like, they were always stupid.
Well, that's the thing is like crossovers when they're made, sometimes somebody takes them way too seriously.
Yeah.
And you're like, this isn't all that interesting. But then somebody's just like, I'm just gonna throw all the toys at each other as hard as I can because you're letting me. And that's what this story is.
Okay.
And I'm like, you know what, I'm cool with that.
Cool. Well, tell you what, let's try some video game news on.
Yes.
Speaking of giant announcements, speaking of giant kaiju-sized things, we got a full story trailer for Elden Ring.
Does it say read the thing and then you just have to read an item description?
Oh, it's a bunch of item shit. No, they actually, I think last week I forgot that it was after we recorded that they put out like a screenshot of like one enemy, and then everybody was talking about it for the entire weekend. But no, earlier this week, they put out a story trailer for Shadow of the Erd Tree. I'm going to tell you right now, I'm pretty well versed in the lore of Elden Ring, and I don't fucking know what's happening here. And I thought about going online and like reading the subreddit or reading theories, but I don't want to. I want to kind of stay loose. And then it was like, well, did Vati Vidya make a video about it? Ooh, look, a 5-hour video on Armored Core 6. Fuck Elden Ring.
That's usually how that starts, yeah.
So, yeah, it's there's a lot of kind of craziness happening in this trailer. There's a lot of like
Alocia's like, well, we couldn't make it a song, so everybody, I guess, forgot about it.
Right. Yeah, so
Metallica was interested, but they charge a lot.
It is metal as fuck.
Yeah, it's metal as hell.
Like everything you're seeing is just like super duper goddamn metal.
Things are horrifying to look at.
Yeah, so we see Mesmer, who we've already seen as like I potentially think is the antagonist of the DLC, and there's like an uprising, and he's burning stuff up. One of the big things in Elden Ring is that flames are not welcome because everybody worships a giant fucking tree, and so like just the idea of fire is very like taboo. Like,
never would have even thought about that.
Yeah. So the fact that we have this character with all this kind of flame iconography, there's this thing at the end where they're showing kind of, I mean, it all, like, I don't want to get into too much of it because a lot of it focuses around this character called Mikola, who was like one of the Elden Lords that we didn't actually meet.
Does he have a beer called Michelob Ultra?
Well, it gets complicated because, like, that's Mikola, that's Saint Trina. Saint Trina and Mikola are the same person who just goes back and forth between genders, and also
Like Captain Marvel?
Mikola, sorta. Mikola's like a little kid and doesn't grow up, and like I don't fucking know.
Like Captain Marvel.
Sort of like Captain Marvel. Sort of like Captain Marvel. We do get a lot of. There's been a lot of joking at the end. There's this kind of narration that's going on at the end. There's like this group of adventurers that are like, we all choose to follow this guy. And people online are like, before this is over, you're going to kill all of them, right?
100%.
Like, you're going to have to kill all of them for some reason. You're going to have to kill all of them.
Oh, disclaimer for those people. Captain Marvel is Shazam, and I refuse to call him Shazam.
I do like in this last scene, I hope that this is the skybox. This kind of like, they have the Erd tree, and then it's like the shadow of the Erd tree. So like,
that is a really cool visual.
It's got these kind of like, they're like drapes coming down. There's like a hidden land that hasn't been, that wasn't like accessible before. But, hey bro, looks like some cool ass Elden Ring.
People were very excited.
One thing that I know this has been pointed out before, but like one thing I think is really interesting, and I keep forgetting that they did it, was the release date for this is July 21st, a.k.a. 621, which is the call sign of your pilot in Armored Core 6.
Oh, yeah.
Got a job for you, 621.
I completely forgot about that.
I keep forgetting about it, too, until people online bring it up, and I'm just like, oh, right.
Didn't somebody move their release date for something because of this? I could have sworn there was a game that was like, we're not fucking fighting them.
Oh no, it was that like Italian.
Oh, that's right.
Dark Souls game that was just like, nope.
Yeah, we're gonna get slaughtered.
Nowhere near this. I don't know, Michael. You didn't ever take the Elden Ring plunge, right?
I never finished it.
Oh, you did start playing it though.
Yeah, you remember because you were like, "Where did you last leave?" And I was like, "I think I'm in the capital?" And then I was like, "This is hard," and I just never went back because I don't remember. I bought something that I was like, "I'll get back to this." No, I bought it was Spider-Man 2.
Oh,
Spider-Man 2 came out finally, and I just took the full plunge on that, and I never went back. But if you look, the funny thing was the PlayStation that year had that I don't think it was Spider-Man. I can't remember what it was, but I remember it had the remember it had that thing where it's like, see what the longest thing you played was for that year.
Yeah.
And it was just Elden Ring by like, that passed everything by like 40 hours because I'd been playing it for fucking like nonstop and I still couldn't fucking get past certain points.
Yep.
But that's because I wasn't like I'm not very good at that type of like customizing your character to make things easier. I'm just gonna stab it.
I found
it didn't work out so well for me.
I found, over the course of John and I playing, so as not to just spend like 60 hours playing the game with the exact same weapon, I kept switching, and so I now have like my 12 favorite builds of Elden Ring, and like some of them work at some points and some of them work at other points. So I just started replaying it myself, and I was like, oh yeah, my initial build just like melts bosses up until like level 2, and then I got to go find. There's a part during the Elden Ring Patreon playthrough where we found this giant two-handed axe, and the weapon art for it is you would hold it above your head and spin it around. And we called it the helicopter. And for like a good 3 or 4 episodes, every boss would just die because I would roll up to them. They would do an attack and I would like dodge it. And then I just start doing the fucking helicopter and their health bar just go all the way to the bottom.
I'm just going to start spinning my arms. And if you get hit, it's your fault.
It was a lot like that. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I don't know. The thing is that it's like now that I put this up here because I was like, I'm really excited.
Yeah.
I'm super excited for Elden Ring. It's kind of cool living in a world where you get From Software stuff all the time.
It's fascinating. Yeah.
Like last year was Armored Core, and this year it's Elden Ring. It always comes out earlier in the year, so you don't have to wait until October to play it.
Yeah.
But then part of my brain goes, what do I have to talk about here? Elden Ring, From Software hasn't been purchased. They haven't made a bad game in a while.
No.
Like, Dark Souls 3 wasn't my cup of tea, but that wasn't my cup of tea. The same with Sekiro. Sekiro was a good game. It just wasn't really my kind of good game. So
yeah, their version of bad game is more like, I just didn't like it myself, but a lot of other people did.
Right.
Whereas before that, their version of a bad game was like, one of the Armored Cores that people just weren't really into because it was too complicated.
Right.
Or in some people's opinion, some of the other games they made that I love personally, like Metal Wolf Chaos.
Right.
But that's because it's batshit insane.
It's goofy.
So, yeah.
So
it's strange. I don't know. I'm happy for them though, because they found a niche, or they created a niche, because that niche I feel didn't even really exist.
Yeah.
And they just kept making that niche until it finally, it hit big. I'm really happy
though also this is coming out, because it means that they probably will be going. I mean, they've said already that they're not going to do more than one DLC for Elden Ring. And that means they're probably going to go start working on more Armored Core stuff.
Hopefully.
Because right now those two are like, those are the big cash prizes. I don't know. Some people probably are really looking for, Dark Souls 4 or Bloodborne 2. I hope they just keep doing craziness. Like, I like it when they just... I want Shadow Tower 3. I'm the guy over here. Like, can I get Kingsfield 6, please? Like,
I'm
give me
guy.
something weird. Or Otogi 3.
Yeah, I want them to branch out again. Like, because I don't want them to just be known as the not just Elden Ring, but the Souls people.
Yeah.
I want them to be known as the people who just make weird shit.
They're gonna make Sekiro 2, and I know it's gonna be fucking. I'm like, oh no, the one I wasn't really that fond of.
The one that most people aren't good at.
Yeah,
because Sekiro's the one that even I was like, I'm not even gonna look at its general direction, because everything I hear about it sounds fucking impossible.
Most frustrating game I've ever played, because I got all the way to the last boss, and the last boss was hard. I started looking online. People were like, I've been trying to beat the last boss for 8 days, and I was like, I live in a world with people. I don't have 8 days.
No, yeah.
I'm not doing that shit.
Fuck that shit.
So
yeah, there were things like that were just like, I'm never touching that game. Not even to look at its general direction.
Anyway, Shadow of the Erdtree looks great. Let's see.
How much is it, by the way?
I think it's going to be... Ooh, that's a good question. Is it up for pre-order? Let's see. I think it's going to be like $30, $40.
I'm expecting it to be pricey.
I think it's going to be more than just like a default.
There it is. So
Shadow of the Erdtree, $40.
$40? That makes
$40
sense.
regular, $50 for the premium bundle. Never buy the From Software premium bundle, because they can't actually put anything in it.
What is it anyways?
It's usually like an art book, and then like an emote or something, or sometimes you get weapons earlier. Let's see. Elden Ring Shadow of the Erdtree bonus gesture. This is a gesture that can be used in game for Shadow of the Erdtree content.
Go down, because it has a picture version.
Okay,
there it is. Yeah, art book,
digital art book, and original soundtrack.
Yeah, but you get a bonus
gesture.
Yeah,
eat dicks.
but it says it can be unlocked later, I think is what it says on there too.
No, absolutely. Like, usually when they do that stuff, you end up with like, oh, they gave you weapons that you can find later in the game, but they just gave them to you up front.
Yeah.
Because the From Software is too smart to know that if you try to withhold content from the crazy ass player base behind like a digital deluxe edition, they will fucking burn this place to the ground.
100%.
So,
and they'll have deserved it.
Speaking of weird shit that's online, we found a bunch of leaks. Well, there's a bunch of leaks last week about Valve's new game. So Valve is making a game called Deadlock. This has been kind of in development for a long time.
Oh, okay.
And it's like it's a third person. You can tell it's been in development for a long time. It's a third-person hero shooter with MOBA elements added into it.
Oh, dear God.
Yep.
I haven't heard those words together in quite some time.
So they had a closed beta, and a lot of people have been like leaking stuff from the closed beta. I think originally they were planning on having it in like the Half-Life universe, but then they decided to have it be in its own universe. So it's got a pretty decent, like, this is all real early stuff, obviously, but it's got a pretty decent, like, kind of simple Team Fortress 2e art style, but it's got a little bit more whimsicalness to it. It's supposed to be 4 lanes like a MOBA, but then there's like Bioshock Infinite style like sky rails that you can use to go between them. There's going to be mobs that you can shoot for XP, and then then you're fighting the other players and stuff. And I look at this stuff, and like the character designs are pretty nice.
Some of them have that very specific Valve look. Like the Team Fortress 2 kind of Valve look, if that makes sense.
They're also real MOBA-y, where you can tell from a distance with the silhouette which one is which. The problem that I'm having with this is like, I a hero shooter MOBA in this day, in this environment, localized entirely in your video game client. Like, what are you thinking? Like,
Valve hasn't been able to make good video game making decisions.
Yeah,
outside of Alex.
But that wasn't even them.
That was the thing I was going to say. The reason Alex is the reason there's a decision is because they let them do it.
Right.
But them making things has not worked out in quite some time.
Yeah.
Because before this, there was only one other game I remember them making, and that game did so bad that people were using it as their Twitch stream reason to stream porn. Because nobody was paying attention to it.
Do you remember the name of that game?
Artifact?
It was Artifact. Good job.
The reason I remember it is because I remember falling asleep in the middle of it. It's the only time it's legitimately happened.
Yep.
Because I've joked about falling asleep in the middle of a Let's Play. That was the only one where I literally I don't remember if you saw it, where if you turned around, my face was like leaned onto the mic, and the mic was keeping my head up because I just passed the fuck out because I was just like, I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Yep. They had another game called Dota Underlords that was like an auto battler that they tried back when Battle Chess or whatever was, or not Battle Chess. It was 2020.
Oh, I completely forgot about that.
Back when the auto battler thing, what was that one called that was like, that was the big one, right? Where it was like you had the little boards, right?
Yeah.
They kind of form your units together.
What the hell was the name of that?
Battle something.
Battle Chess? No, that's not it.
No, that's what I said, but
sounds like Battle Chess.
Does it say in this article? Let's see. Dota Underlords, a Dota auto chess game. Oh, it's called Auto Chess.
Just Auto Chess. Okay, then I was right. Kind of.
Was it? Oh, yeah, it was called Auto Chess.
We were close.
Yeah.
It had chess in it.
So, yeah, that's the thing is that if you look at the track record and you're like, most of the good stuff that's come out of Valve, like Half-Life Alyx or like the Portal VR stuff, that's all been like somebody else made that. Oh, you know what they made? I don't want people to forget about Good Job. Good Job was my favorite thing that Valve has made almost ever. It was the Steam Deck tutorial that was in the Portal universe where you played as a guy assembling, like you're a guy at Aperture Science and you've got one of the personality cores and you're supposed to just be assembling toilets, and then the AI has you start putting guns on the toilets and then testing the guns and then doing stuff. And eventually you take your gun toilet to Cave Johnson's office, and Cave Johnson is in there and he's a giant metal head. It was great. It was about an hour long. Amanda and I played the whole thing from start to finish.
That's crazy.
It's like super cheap online. I recommend everybody go check out Good Job, and because it was specifically made, you can play it on a PC, but specifically made to show you the thumbsticks, the touchpads, all of the parts of a Steam Deck.
That's fun. I like when games do, or not games, but makers do that, because that was kind of why they did that Astrobot thing on the PS5.
Yeah. So
to show off some stuff.
Yep. Let's see. In other online action news, X Defiant launched, and you'll never guess. The servers were all fucked up.
Yeah.
But you know what? I gotta give them credit. I talk a lot of shit about Ubisoft. They got that shit under control by like later in the day,
which is really good in general, because that's the a lot of games in general have had issues with their server. Even some of the best ones that people love. Helldivers 2 took like a week to really get better when it came to like connecting to things. And we were like, I don't know if it's out yet, the Patreon that we did.
It'll be out tomorrow.
We were worried that we would have to do something else because we were worried that it wouldn't work, and it worked fine.
It worked fine.
Yeah,
and it was somewhat fun. I still don't understand why they didn't put the actual characters from the franchises into the games instead of having the generic versions. The fucking
they're stunt doubles. Yeah,
yeah. Do people know this reference anymore? You used to go to the toy store, or you used to go like to when I was a kid, you would go to the grocery store.
Yeah.
And at the grocery store, they'd have a toy aisle. And that toy aisle, they wouldn't have G.I. Joe guys. They'd have Mexican knockoff G.I. Joe guys that were like kind of like a G.I. Joe guy, but they were always way worse in quality and they looked terrible. But I was a child, so I wanted them anyway.
No, that's the thing. I bought a lot of those when I was growing up, and they still make them. And there's memes based on versions of those. My favorite, I think it's called the Justice Alliance, and it's like it's a set of knockoff superhero toys, and it's Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, and I think Shrek is in there.
Yeah,
which is why they're like, "What the fuck is this thing?" But they still make those as far as I know. But yeah, that's exactly what that felt like.
Yeah, and it's weird because I feel like the game was pretty fun. We weren't very. I mean, I think you were better at it than I was.
I was better at shooting things. Outside of that, not so much better.
But like, it seemed like a good version of that sort of Call of Duty style game. So. It kind of sucks that they don't have more of a hook.
Yeah.
Like, what if Call of Duty, but with Ubisoft actual characters, not like their stunt doubles?
It was very strange. Like I remember. I think the main reason they did it was for skin stuff.
Yeah.
Because when we were playing it, there was a lot of adverts for like buy the something skin for this guy.
Right.
And it was just like the third echelon, but he was like bright green or something.
Yeah.
And I was like, well, that seems kind of counterintuitive to what you're supposed to be doing, but sure.
Yeah. Anyway, well, speaking of Call of Duty, this is interesting, Michael. I don't know how you feel about this. We've been talking about the Microsoft stuff for a little while. Apparently, Wall Street Journal reports that they have made the decision to put the next Call of Duty game on Game Pass.
That is crazy.
Yeah.
It's batshit insane, in my opinion. But is it only going to be Game Pass for Xbox that we know of?
Not that what the article said, going to be on Game Pass.
See, that's the answer to that question is the only way is the main thing that will change it. The reason I say that is because if it's only the PC version of it, that's a large market that's not going to buy Call of Duty now.
Yeah.
But if it's only on the Xbox side, that's also a large market that's not going to buy Call of Duty.
Yep.
And if it's on both, then what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah, that's kind of how I look at it. Is what the fuck are you doing?
Yeah.
Like, what are you actually doing here? Like, this is one of the biggest moneymakers every year, and
it outsells everything.
Well, yeah, except
including
for like
itself.
Except for like Grand Theft Auto 5.
Yeah. Well, that's because the Grand Theft Auto
20-year-old
5
video game.
Yeah, that's the other thing. Yeah.
I think this is crazy. Like, I mean, it's hand to God here. Great deal for gamers, right? I don't have to spend $70 on a new Call of Duty game that I'm going to play 3 times and then put down.
And if for friends like, hey, you want to play Call of Duty? Now I have a way of just being like, I guess.
Yeah. But like, for the love of God, are you kidding me?
But like,
people are happy to give you $70 for Call of Duty.
You spent $70 billion to not make money, is what you're telling me.
Right.
So what are we doing here?
The thing is that it's like I'm having a hard time thinking of like, okay, so if you pay $10 a month for an entire year of Game Pass, $120, I guess like you would make your money back if that person didn't buy Call of Duty and got it on Game Pass, but then also didn't download any other games on Game Pass for the entire year.
And also just didn't like cancel it after they were like, I don't feel like doing this anymore.
Right.
Like within the year.
Yeah, I don't, especially with all the studio closures and the fact that like, I was listening to a podcast today where it seems like, oh, they're not done yet.
No,
like they're not done yet. But the thing is that oh no, that's a different article. It seems like Microsoft is leaning on Xbox to make money, and that's like what the studio closures are about, and like this doesn't seem like the way to make money.
No,
like,
they were very adamant that they weren't going to, keep Call of Duty outside of, they're very adamant that you can still buy Call of Duty outside of them.
Right.
So they're hoping that
PlayStation.
They're hoping that PlayStation people save them money wise.
Yeah,
which is a strange. It's a bold strategy, Cotton.
Right.
Is the most bold strategy I've seen in my entire life for gaming, because I don't really know. I know they announced what the new Call of Duty will be too.
Yeah, we'll get to that. We got that later on.
But I'm also just like, but do people care? Is the thing still, because Call of Duty has been going down sales wise for quite some time.
Yeah.
But like
not hugely.
I was about to say, don't get me wrong, they're still outselling most games.
Right.
But the problem is, I feel like this strategy would have worked better at its peak. And if you're getting declining returns more and more, eventually this plan is going to fail. And I don't know. I just don't know how. I generally don't know what they're doing.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna even. I can't even speculate.
Right.
Because my brain is confused. Because it's not the decision I would have made.
Because why are you? Why? But why? Like
the only thing that makes sense is they want to try to sell more Game Pass subscriptions.
Right.
To prove to shareholders and whoever's in charge of Microsoft at this point, besides Phil Spencer, because he's not in charge of Microsoft itself, just to be like, look, we're doing the things, like we're making the money off of these subscriptions. It wasn't a bad idea that I had, kind of thing. I don't know. It's fucking crazy.
Okay, so the one thing I can think that might make sense is if it turns out like that you do a profit loss analysis on Call of Duty. If your average Call of Duty user spends more money on Game Pass or on battle passes and microtransactions and skins and stuff throughout the year, because we got the whole new group of dumb shit coming from them.
That's true, yeah.
But if it turns out that like the $70, take it or leave it, it's really about all the other transactions they make,
stuff,
then
yeah.
like I guess that could make sense, because you're going to make up some of the cost with the Game Pass subscription, but then you're going to get them into your ecosystem where they're going to be spending the money on microtransactions. But then I have no idea. That's only if that's true. That's like you have to agree to my assumption in order for that to make any fucking sense. Like
you'd have to get a lot of whales to make that work.
Yeah,
and it might. Is the thing, especially because of Call of Duty, but I don't know. It's such a strange idea, and it's also what PlayStation was worried about. But I don't really know. Jim Ryan really fucked up that blocking.
Yeah,
he did not make that work out.
Very true. All right. Well, I tell you what. Let's do a few more Microsoft stories, and then we're going to go ahead and take a break. Hey. Speaking of online video games, Overwatch 2 is ditching a mode that they added in like March, I think.
What was it?
It was some kind of like score attack mode where it's like you have 3 people that do a PvE tower defense thing, and then it had like a scoreboard, and then you guys try to get the highest score on the scoreboard. It was kind of an offshoot of the like hero training from the single player.
Oh, okay.
But it was like a co-op hero training. And it was a dedicated mode that you could play at any time. And they came out and said, like, well, it turns out not a lot of people like that mode, so it's just getting taken out of permanent rotation. Just the end. I'm like,
I guess. What do you guys? What also were you guys doing?
Yeah,
you got. What did they put in the water in that area? Because none of you are making any sense lately.
Yeah.
I get it being a mode that people weren't like doing a lot, but just removing it entirely and not having anything.
Yeah, why not just
immediately replace it?
Just leave it in there.
Yeah,
what's it costing you? Like,
like all you're doing is removing features now, and what you've destroyed the reason why Overwatch 2 existed.
It makes a certain amount of sense when you consider that they could bring it back into the like, you have the daily challenges and you have modes that rotate in and out that they could like bring it, but I don't even know how that works anymore. So anyway,
I haven't touched the game in so long. I generally don't know how
here's
it works.
another story where Jeff says Overwatch 2 sucks. So put it down on your bingo card. Here's something that doesn't suck. It turns out that Redfall is going to get that last update after all.
Oh, okay.
Arcane Austin came out and said that they're going to have their last update, which is really important because that was the update that was going to add an offline mode.
Oh yeah,
with like you can pause the game because it's not always online. There's supposed to be some other stuff. They came out on Twitter and they basically said like, yeah, we're gonna have they're gonna let us put out this last update. Thanks everybody for your support. Kind of the end, which is nice because what it looked like when they announced it before was that they basically hacked that studio off at the knees right before they were about to put out what could be considered like the best like okay, it's mostly fixed update. But yes, so they are at least going to be around long enough to do that, which is good because you wanted the game to not be garbage forever.
Yeah. It's like it could have ended up like Anthem, where we're like, we're going to make the thing that everybody's going to make and love, and then they just never did.
Yeah.
Like this is like, I'm not saying that's what's going to happen with Redfall, but it's the thing that people were saying that they wanted to just try out the game.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. That's crazy.
And last but not least, before we take a break, apparently there's been some new reporting that says that this lines up a lot with what we're seeing. What's the guy in Nutella?
Nutella?
the
Microsoft owns Nutella now.
The CEO of Microsoft is like putting pressure on Xbox to, you gotta fucking make money. Like, you have to make more money.
You spent $70 billion, guys.
We're spending a lot of money. You got to do stuff. Apparently, this was the impetus towards putting Sea of Thieves, Grounded, Pentiment, and Hi-Fi Rush all on other platforms. It kind of seems like everybody has stumbled into the same stupid money. Here's one simple life hack that will fix your C-suite money problems. Fire your employees who know what they're doing, and then put your the things that got you loyal customers on every platform that you can get it onto immediately. In order to double dip and make a shitload of money. I think this is okay. I think exclusivity is kind of bad, and I don't care for it, even though I have all the consoles. I don't care for exclusivity. I think everybody should get to play whatever video game they want to, and then nobody should have to buy a console to play a video game. On the other hand, this works once.
Yes.
But you are teaching everybody the consoles, they don't fucking matter. The consoles, they do nothing, Michael. Like, if you just wait long enough, you could play Ghost of Tsushima on your PC, and it'll look better, and it'll sound better, and it'll have all the DLC and all the bug fixes, and it'll be fine.
That's a long wait, though, is the thing.
It's a bit, yes.
That's like the difference between PlayStation's version of the wait and Xbox's version of the wait is that you have to be. It's that Pokemon meme where it's like, I waited for 3,000 years and it's finally here, kind of thing.
Right.
Whereas Xbox is like, it's there now. Fuck it, I don't give a shit.
Well, the thing is that it's like, I feel like it's you see this. I think the movie industry is what's is blazing a trail for the video game industry.
100%.
Where like Abigail was in the movie theater for like 2 weeks, and then like at the end of 14 business days, it was like on VOD. Fall Guy wasn't making what they wanted in the theater. They're just like, fucking put it on VOD now.
Yeah, same thing. Exact same thing.
So that I feel like we're going to start to see situations. There's going to be one front runner that happens where there's going to be some studio exclusive that goes up and doesn't sell very well, and somebody's going to be like, put it on the other platforms ASAP, and within like a couple of months it's going to end up being on other platforms. Like, they basically keep shortening the exclusivity window until it doesn't matter anymore. And everybody can just kind of go fuck themselves. So which then I don't understand why they do this, because you look at it and you go like, that when you do this, you can only do this once, and it's going to stop working. It's going to work very short amount of time, and then it's going to stop working, and everybody's going to be onto your shit, and you're going to have to come up with some other dumb reason. But you've already done all the easy shit.
Yeah.
What's left is the hard stuff, and you don't want to do that because it takes too long. So
all they've done is piss off everyone.
Yep.
And I think that's kind of amazing.
Yep. Yeah. Well, speaking of being pissed off, I'm too pissed off to continue. Let's take a break. I'm going to calm down. I'm going to drink the rest of my coffee. That'll calm me down. And then we'll be back with more news in just a moment. And we're back. And Michael, I've painted us into the corner of there's way too much news now.
Okay.
So
you're like, this will be a short one.
Yeah.
There's nothing to talk about.
Yeah, no problem. Before we left, we were talking about CEOs and demanding that games sell. 2K had an earnings call this week, and there was this thing where somebody asked Strauss Zelnick about the closure of Roll 7 and Intercept, the Ollie Roller Dome and Kerbal Space Program 2 places. And his response was incredibly confusing. Here's what he said. This is IGN asking him about the closures. Quote, "We didn't shutter those studios, to be clear. And we're always looking at our release schedule across all of our studios to make sure that it makes sense. So we're being very judicious because we're in the middle of a cost reduction program that we've already concluded and are now fully rolling out. We've announced that we're saving $165 million in existing and future costs, but we haven't shuttered anything."
What?
Yes.
What the fuck is he talking about?
So then they were asked whether this means that the company is denying the reports that the studios have been shuttered, and their PR rep said, quote, "What we've said is in the 8K filing that we put out, we talked about the cost reduction plan is approximately 5% reduction in headcount worldwide, but we did not give a label by label breakdown of what that looks like."
What?
Right, yeah. So this is a lot like, and then of course Jason Schreier is out there on Twitter and like is like stuff leaking from inside of Roll 7 where they talk about this is like a literal bullet point on a thing where they're talking about closing down that studio.
Yeah.
And it sounds like they're just trying to spin the negative PR by being like, we didn't say we were shutting those studios down. We just said that we're getting rid of 5% of our workforce. We haven't even said which studios are going to be around after that 5% is done. We didn't say anything. I know that Washington put out like that notice to kill your company thing that they have to file, but like we didn't say that we were shutting those places down.
We didn't officially say that we were killing everybody.
Yeah.
We just hinted at it.
We just said that they're not going to be there anymore.
Yeah. For whatever reasons, who knows?
Yeah. So, entirely unclear. What the fuck? Entirely unclear. Like, what the fuck does... Yes.
So confused.
What the fuck does that mean, indeed? I'm sure the people that work at those places would really like to know what the actual fuck is going on.
What is going on?
You can't keep... We shut down your studio a secret. Like, once those people don't work for you anymore, that they could go onto Twitter and be like, "I got fired," right? Like,
there's no NDA that says that stops you from saying I got fired,
right? Like, the studio doesn't exist anymore. Like, somebody will say it. I don't know how you think that like you just get to magically. We didn't say.
Yeah,
like we didn't announce. And it's like, what?
What the absolute fuck, guys?
Look at that wall. Look at all the writing on it. I can see it. I can read it. It says we shut down 2 studios. Like,
that's a Banksy. I had nothing to do with that. Like, what the fuck are you talking about?
I didn't write that. I don't know what you're talking about. I don't know where that wall even came from. Nobody's ever seen that wall before.
What about this notice that says "I will murder everyone"? You're like, that was
the state of Washington sent that out.
Yeah.
I didn't send that out.
I didn't say nothing.
Yeah, I don't know what the hell this means. I tried to look for more information. It was just like,
it's just
CEO gobbledygook, like PR bullshit.
It's like the Simpsons character Johnny Tightlips, and they're just like, Johnny, you've been shot. Where? I'm not saying nothing.
Yeah, I don't get it. But anytime we have an earnings call, it means that we get a lot of interesting information. We did find out that Grand Theft Auto 6 has gone from 2025 as a release window to fall of 2025.
Okay.
So they've moved it to be a little bit more specific. No actual date yet, which, like, guys, I know that people are excited for Grand Theft Auto 6. I know you guys are all excited. I know you're all excited. I know what fall of 2025 means. It means spring of 2026, okay?
Usually,
you should be ready for when they come out and say that it's going to be spring of 2026, or it's going to launch in fall of 2025, and it's just going to be the buggiest piece of shit you've ever seen.
It's going to be one or the other.
And it'll be fixed in spring of 2026.
or it will come out in fall of 2025.
Yes.
And the idea is that whatever multiplayer they have will be for spring of 2026.
Yes.
That will be the other thing.
Yes. So just, gird your loins, reset your expectations, and then be happily surprised when it comes out in October. No problem. It would be very interesting, though, if that game came out in October, because, boy, it's going to fuck up everybody else in the entire industry.
Oh, it's going to be a fucking bloodbath. It's going to be amazing. I don't care what comes out. I'm buying Grand Theft Auto 6 the second it comes out.
Well, yeah, obviously. Me too. I got PSATs to study for, okay?
Exactly. It's been years since between 5 and 6. My God.
Yeah.
It's holy shit.
I was working at Spill.com when Grand Theft Auto 5 came out. We also got Okay, this is a very speculative story, but they everybody knows that Strauss Zelnick is one of these CEOs that's like, well, the value of video game is whatever it's actually worth. If we give you millions of hours of entertainment, then maybe $70 is too low. And so there, in the same earnings call, there were some kind of like vague gesticulations in the direction of like, okay, here's what he said. This is Strauss Zelnick again. Look, there's more content constantly being made available. We really aim to deliver great value at any given time. We're so focused on delivering more value than what we charge, and that's sort of the rubric. And I feel like there's more to it than just that, but this is getting into the territory of just like, and you know what, guys, I really hate to say this, Michael, but if they sell Grand Theft Auto 6 for $80, everybody's going to buy it anyway.
That's the thing. That's the thing I was going to say. Here's the deal. If you sold Grand Theft Auto for $80 as its default price, here that's the caveat. Is its default
starting price. Yeah, base edition.
The statement I said earlier was the exact same thing it's going to be, which is I don't care what's coming out.
Yep.
That will be the thing I will buy that month.
What? Let me ask you this. What price would Grand Theft Auto 6 have to be for you to say that is too much? No, sir.
$120.
$120. Double the old price.
Double the old price.
So $120.
The reason I say that is because I've spent $100 on games very easily. In the past. So quickly.
$100 for the base Grand Theft Auto 6. You think you would probably still pay that?
Yes.
Okay.
Because I've bought a lot of dumb shit for $100 that gave me like 3 things.
Boy, I hate 2K as a company, but boy, I like Rockstar video games. So
you know, like my favorite example of me doing this is when I was working in retail, and Justice 1 was coming out, and I hated the costumes for Superman in that game. So, but they announced that if you bought the collector's edition of it for $100, you'd get the new 52 Superman outfit. And I was like, I'm going to spend the extra money for one fucking suit. And I did.
Well,
and I have a statue. I have that statue still to this day.
Well, there you go. Yeah, I don't know. I'd be interested for people. Like, I don't normally like to do this. You guys all know that when YouTubers do this, it's trying to make you write stuff in the comments. We're like, tell us what you think down in the comments, because the more comments, the more engagement, the more YouTube pushes the video, the more hits you get.
Also, if you guys are doing the math on what I just mentioned, that game was $60 base. I spent $40 on a Superman costume. Is what happened here.
So I don't want to yank the curtain aside, but I really am curious to be like, what's the most amount of money that you would spend on Grand Theft Auto 6? Like, even if you hated yourself for doing it.
The thing is, I make decent money. Is the thing. The problem is not me. It's can Zelnick convince the normal human being to spend that much money?
Well, for me, the main problem is if they sell that at 80 and people buy it, you can see a lot more games they're selling at 80 instead of 70. They're just like, oops, sorry, development costs are so high. We got to put this half for the blah, blah, blah.
My favorite is that fighting games have been getting away with it for years and nobody's noticed.
Oh, with the like additional fighter packs and stuff. Yeah,
like people spend $100 on fighting games right away because they're like, well, I'm going to get the characters with it. But like you just did it by default. Like that's the default price you paid for it.
Yeah, I actually refunded my Mortal Kombat 1 pre-order and then bought the edition with the season pass. Because I want to play it like 3 days early.
It turns I didn't even know that was a thing. I just remember like being like, "Hey, it says it got delivered. How the fuck did that happen?"
Yeah,
and I just ended up playing the shit of that.
Yep, we ended up recording it like 4 days early.
Yeah.
Let's see. Speaking of PC games, Ghost of Tsushima's PC port. We weren't talking about PC games. I'm sorry, that was a bad segue. That's a bad segue. Bad for me. Bad red flag.
Speaking of money.
Yep. Speaking of money, Ghost of Tsushima on the PC, in spite of all of the delisting bullshit, in spite of all that stuff, hella concurrent players as of release.
It's the number 1 selling game on Steam at the moment.
Well, it's this one
something like that.
This article is mostly focused on the kind of concurrent player count. So, per the Steam DB numbers, it's 77,500.
Oh, damn.
Which beats out Spider-Man, which was 66,000, God of War, which is 73,000, and The Last of Us Part 1, which was 36,000. So,
like peak? The peak that they beat?
Yes. Yeah.
Okay. That's really good. I'm happy for that game, though. That game's fantastic.
absolutely, positively nowhere near the concurrent play count of Helldivers 2 ever.
Oh no,
like
that'll never happen again. To be honest,
yes,
even for Helldivers 2.
Helldivers 2 is blowing them all out of the water. But still, Sony is learning the lesson that they can put shit out on the PC and make money. And I know I said that I don't like exclusives, but like. If it's a choice between Ghost of Tsushima never comes to the PC or Ghost of Tsushima comes to the PC 2 years later, I'd rather have it eventually come to the PC than never come to the PC. Because while I'm a little iffy about the kind of double dipping, it's like, well, make your money on the consoles, then you put it on the PC and the PC players can handle it. PC players have got to be used to, at this point, like having to wait. Right, like
that's the game. That's the name of the game when it comes to PC. Is you have to wait for the big name console ones.
Yeah,
but the trade off is that you don't have to wait for the really indie ones.
Right,
that eventually come to consoles.
Yes,
that tends to be the trade off nowadays.
Yes,
it's a great trade off. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah,
like Hades 2. You guys, PC players, are having a fucking blast right now. Console guys won't get that for a while.
Mods also, like plenty of mod support and stuff.
You want Master Chief to be a God of War instead? Fuck it, go for it.
Yep,
you can do that.
So yeah, I think it should release everywhere on day one, and I think that Sony might be moving in that direction, especially with. There's got to be the executives looking at just the numbers on Helldivers 2 and going like, "Oh shit, we can get that all on day one." Like,
how we to pull that off? Like, and they could if they wanted to.
And we've sold a gajillion PlayStation 5, so it's not like people aren't going to be buying it for the PlayStation 5. Like, if somebody is sitting there who owns a PS5 and a PC and they're like, "Where should I buy it?" We still get the money either way. So
here's the secret, guys: most PC players and console players are not the same person.
Yeah.
For the most part, console players don't give a shit about what specs are.
Yep.
They give a shit about, do I put it in and does it work? And so when you put those people on PC, you have no idea what to do.
Yep.
So like most of this isn't even double dipping.
I guess the only drawback from a Sony from like their perspective would be if people are buying it from Sony, all the money's going to them. If they're buying it on Steam takes their cut.
Yes,
right.
That is the main difference, and I think that's one of the reasons they've been so hesitant about it.
Yeah,
because Japanese execs are not exactly like Sherry. If that makes sense. Sharing is not caring over there. That's all I'm saying.
Let's see. Speaking of Helldivers, we got some stuff from them. Let's see. The big thing. There's two big announcements. The first one is Arrowhead Studios came out and basically said like, we are not interested in being purchased.
Thank God for that.
Yeah, they're fine to do like subsidiary work, but they are not interested in selling their studio to a big company. I can think of no better week in the history of all of mankind to say this, and the rest of us are always like, that sounds like a smart move, bro.
Yeah,
sounds like a good
smart
deal.
Decision. Don't do it.
Yeah.
No matter how much money they will to you, just be like, no, I'm good.
Nah.
I don't want to get shut down like the rest of you guys.
And then this other one is this is a truly heartwarming story to me, Michael. The CEO of Arrowhead Games, Johan Pilestedt, I still know how to say it.
Still not sure this is
basically stepped down from being CEO of Arrowhead, and he got a person. Oh God, what is their name? They're like a Paradox.
It's on the Twitter
executive.
Yeah, it's on the tweet.
Shams Jorhani. Oh God, you think I would be better at this, but I'm not.
Not even gonna try.
And when you read about it, it's so great because he's like, what I realized is that I want to be like part of development. I don't just want to be a guy in an office running the overhead stuff.
Yeah.
And I bet a lot of this came from the fact that like he was both right up until the point where like some shit happened with Sony and he had to basically step away from the entire creative team to just be on calls with fucking Sony all day trying to get them to reverse the PSN stuff on Steam. He's like, I know. what if I got a friend of mine who has CEO experience to come do this for me, and then he's busting his title down to like creative director
He's
to
the
basically
chief creative officer.
to work with the,
I wasn't looking at the screen to remember what that was.
Look at Michael knowing stuff.
That's because the Reddit lost its mind for a second.
Yeah,
because the subreddit post for it was him just saying, "I'm no longer the CEO."
Oh.
So people panicked because they're like, "Oh my god!" And then they read the tweet and they're like, "Oh my god, you had us in the first half," because they were like terrified something happened.
Yeah. Which is great. It's nice to see somebody be like, no, what I want to do is I want to make video games.
Yeah.
I need somebody else to deal with this corporate bullshit. I want to be down here,
It's a very common story for CEOs who used to be like not the bottom, but the little guy. They're like, I'm tired of being the fucking guy who has to answer these things. I don't want to be that guy.
You look at like, Miyazaki is CEO of FromSoft now. He's like elevated, or Druckmann, right? Finally took over in the head spot on Naughty Dog. A lot of these people that used to be like down in the trenches kind of doing that stuff. So yeah, now he's free to focus on pissing off the player base of Helldivers 2 with like, Reddit keeps showing me the Helldivers 2 subreddit. It just seems like everybody that plays that game, it's like any really deep fandom, like comics or anime or take your pick, where it's like, oh, the people that love this game hate this game.
Yes.
Like
they love and despise it because every new thing is like, what did you do to my gun?
Right.
Like every fucking second.
Yep.
And then he's just, I think that's the other reason he stepped down was because he's like, he actually has fun fighting his fan base. And I think that's kind of fun.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's a good, like a happy ending for them, at least for right now. So let's see. So we have CEOs that did not have a happy ending.
Oh God, what happened now?
Escape from Tarkov. So quick refresher for everybody. What was it, like 3 weeks ago?
It wasn't even that long ago.
Something like that.
2-3 weeks ago at most.
So Escape from Tarkov is an extraction shooter. I don't know what the fuck that means. People keep saying that. They sold a $150 version of the game. That version of the game was supposed to include all future updates. A few weeks back, they put out a new thing where they said there's a new $250 version of the game, and this will have the PvE mode that we've been working on. And people said, wait a minute, $150 version is supposed to have all future updates. They said, this isn't an update to multiplayer. This is a separate game mode that does not fall under the $150 lifetime pass that you purchased for way too much money.
No.
Their fan base went, boo, fuck you. At which point they rolled it back a little bit and they said, okay, here's the deal. We are going to let the people who bought that pass into this other mode, but it's going to take a little bit of time.
They're also discontinuing that original pass.
The original pass is discontinued. Also, people who bought that. Okay, so here's the place where the rub comes, Michael. When they announced the $250 version, there was a $100 upgrade path from the $150 version to the $250 version.
Yeah.
So if you already bought the $150 version, you pay $100. Now you're in the $250 version. After they had to deal with the fan base saying they were going to kill them in their houses, they changed that. And they said, okay, the new upgrade path is $50. If you bought the $150 version and you do want not the single player mode, but just all the additional stuff that came with the $250 mode, because there were like microtransaction things that weren't like game updates, give us $50 and that'll go to that. So that leads to a question. What about the people who gave you $100 to upgrade from the $150 to the $250 version now that the upgrade is $50?
I didn't even think about that.
Will they? And also, I didn't know this, but I'm sorry. I'm so gleeful. This is just such a fucking juicy story. This game is not on Steam.
Is it not?
You buy it directly from the publisher or from the developer. So, like, this isn't something where Steam comes and fixes the problem like they did with Helldivers or whatever, right? So, what do you think the people who spent $100 get, Michael? Let me give you some options. Do they get their money back?
No, I'm guessing.
Okay. What do you think they get instead of getting their money back?
An XP boost?
No. They get $50 worth of in-game credit. that you can use to buy stuff inside of Escape from Tarkov for $50.
Huh.
Now, I know what some of you are thinking. Some of you are thinking, well, that's not the worst thing if you're really into a game.
Well, based on my answer, that's not the worst thing. Yeah.
Right. You didn't just eat it, right? You did get $50, some kind of $50 value. However, you've not heard the last part of the story.
Oh, no.
This $50 credit can be used in one transaction only.
What?
And you will not retain any balance that is not spent. So if you spend $30 and you apply your $50 credit, you get whatever that stuff is, and the additional $20 goes and is gone.
That is the dumbest thing I've ever heard. How do you even... What? How does that even work?
I don't know. Well, probably it works because, consider the rest of the story. These people are really greedy.
Do they have an expiration date on the credit? Is it that much more evil? Because holy shit.
I don't know about that.
What the fuck?
It didn't say that in here, but what it did say...
That's horrendous.
...was, yes, that if you... Yeah. You can only use the compensation once. If the cost of all the expansions you've selected is lower than the compensation, the remaining balance cannot be used later. This is a quote from the company on Twitter. So,
that's horrifying.
Yeah. Can you imagine if you accidentally tried to buy a $3 thing and you were like, well, I have $47 left over, and it's you have nothing left over.
Nothing. You get nothing. Get the fuck out of my house.
Good day to you, sir. Why would anybody play this weird game? Apparently it's really popular, but
the worst thing is that there's nothing in the world that will let them spend only $50 together.
Right.
There's got to be that's going to have the tax thing.
Yep.
That's going to be you also have to spend to give us $3 or something.
I feel like these guys and the guys that make that Ark game could team up to just have the shitty game developer Olympics.
100%. This shit's ridiculous. My God.
What is that? What the fuck is that?
At that point, I'm I'm just going to charge back on my card at this point. Yeah. This is some bullshit.
Yeah. So yeah, that's some fun stuff for fun people.
God damn, I feel so bad for anybody who's playing that game now. Holy shit.
Let's see. Next up, we got some updates from Larian this week. So this is kind of an interesting thing. Larian has opened a 7th studio. So Larian actually technically is 6 studios all grouped together. The 7th studio is going to be in Poland, I believe.
That's fun.
Yeah. And they're talk about how it's it'll allow them to have, they don't really define this, but they said a quote unquote 24-hour game development cycle, which I assume is just a thing where it's you've got people on the other side of the world. So when your devs go home, they just transfer to their counterparts on the other side of the world. They're waking up, they just pick up the code and keep working on it, and then it just goes round and round, which is kind of a good system, right? They're also working on 2 games at the same time right now. 2 games are in development simultaneously. I was kind of neutral on this, and I was listening to the Triple Click podcast today, and they talked about how they reminded me that this scenario is the beginning of the downfall for a lot of companies.
100%.
Where instead of just making one more good game and using the profits from your last game to make the next game that's even better, you end up trying to diversify, and then you're trying to do too many things at the same time. Something comes out, it underperforms, you've suddenly got more bills, and then suddenly you have to start taking in a lot more outside investment, which then means you do have to answer to shareholders, as opposed to the way that it is right now, where Sven Vicky can just put on fucking chainmail and go talk shit about whoever he wants to. Yeah. So hopefully this is good. I mean, I'm hoping for the best, but you got to be really careful with the expansion stuff, especially I think right now.
Yeah, it depends on what the scope of the games are is the thing.
Yeah.
If one of them is just a quick, almost mobile-y type game, they'll be fine. But if both of them are at even close, and the reason I say even close because I doubt it, of the scope of what Baldur's Gate 3 was, or even just their Divinity Sin stuff, original Sin stuff, that will take them a long time. And if one fails, then they have to bank on the second one even more.
Right,
puts even more pressure on them. It's like you said, it tends to become the beginning of the end for a lot of studios because they get too too high on their own product.
Yeah.
And so I'm hoping that they're smart enough to not do that.
I wonder what the other thing that's got me thinking about was I wonder whether because like the company that made Divinity Original Sin 2 making a new Baldur's Gate, that's like great, that's a match made in heaven.
Yeah.
But then the idea that like that was such a big cultural like thing, but I think that was like a 50-50 thing. Like, there were a lot of people who knew Larian and they were like, oh, I trust those guys, I'll buy whatever they put out. But there were a lot of people who were like, I like Dungeons and Dragons and like that's what I want to play.
Yeah.
So the idea that Larian would come out with another game, hopefully they're being smart about it, but the idea that I hope they don't think that like their name is enough to sell a game at this point, like from the makers of Baldur's Gate 3, because yes, that will do a lot more for you than it would have before Baldur's Gate 3,
100%.
but I don't know if you're going to get quite as wide of an audience, because the idea that you can play a really, really, really good D&D campaign as a video game has its there's a half of that equation is the Dungeons and Dragons name.
It was already a niche thing that you succeeded at making work.
Right.
Like, I don't know how if you could make that work on something that doesn't have any name recognition.
Maybe. I mean, maybe. Who knows?
Also, are they allowed to say the creators of Baldur's Gate 3? Is that a thing?
Developers? Developers of Baldur's Gate 3?
Yeah.
Probably. The thing is, what I really wonder? I really wonder how much Divinity Original Sin 2 sold.
I was always curious about that myself.
Because everybody loves it. People, especially RPG heads, but like, all due respect to RPG heads in the audience, like, y'all are buying like 320-hour games a year and replaying the shit out of them. Not like, you're not like me, where you're just like, I gotta have it all. I gotta have every fucking game that comes out every fucking week.
Yeah, there are people who are like, I'm on my 30th playthrough of Baldur's Gate.
Right.
I'm just like, how?
Yeah.
Like, I played Mass Effect 1 through 3 like once, and then I never did it again.
Yep. It takes a lot to get me to replay a game, I say, as I start my 12th playthrough of Elden Ring, to have not even to get ready, but to have like a third character that's ready for the DLC, because I run a fucking show over here.
It's fair. And I also replay a lot of games, but I don't replay games that are that long usually. Yeah. Is the difference.
Yeah, the idea that people are like, oh yeah, why doesn't Persona 5 have a new game plus? So I can start over when I hit the end of the 200-hour RPG, and I'm like, why? Yeah. Why would you want to?
Why would anybody want that?
Don't you want to play RoboCop Rogue City, my man? Like, come on.
I will new game plus that all day, every day, which I still plan on doing eventually.
Let's see. Speaking of gamers in general and PC gamers specifically, there was this report that came out from this. What are they called? It's like a analysis called Newzoo group that did crunch the numbers and said that 2023 PC gaming expanded by almost 10%. Yeah, PC game sales, microtransactions, and other digital purchases grew 8.4% in 2023 compared to 2022. I think that is almost probably exclusively Baldur's Gate, right?
Most likely.
That was the best place to play that game. There were a couple other things. I mean, let's not forget about Dave the Diver.
Yeah, no, of course. Well, the other thing I'm thinking of, when did the Steam Deck come out?
3 years ago, maybe?
Is it that old?
2 years ago?
I feel like the Steam Deck has started gaining steam.
Yeah.
I get it. And so I think that's helped a lot because a lot of that stuff is still PC sales, technically.
Yeah. So comparatively, console saw a 0.3% increase, and mobile gaming shrank by about 2%. What I did find really interesting about this article, though, as I kept reading it, was I was like, Michael, I just have to have that cold, wet slap in the face every so often to remember that my priorities are not the priorities of the video game industry, because they went to the total revenue. PC gaming around $39 billion, console gaming around $52.4 billion, mobile gaming $89.9 billion.
Oh, my sweet Jesus.
Like, no matter what you or I or anybody else thinks, those fucking cell phone games make bank. Like, you're like, why don't you guys just make single player RPGs for everybody? And they're like, why the fuck would we do that? Yeah. Like, Candy Crush is going to print money. It's going to be the old 3DS meme of just like, it prints money.
Yeah, the thing that we always forget is that there's a reason why Diablo had a mobile game.
Right.
It's because the Chinese market, the Japanese market, a lot of the markets that aren't just the U.S.
Yep.
love mobile games.
Yep.
Because they're on the move way more than we are, and their difference is that we drive, which is the reason we don't have that, like, oh, we're on a train playing our phone game because we have time kind of thing.
Yep.
No, we don't have that, which is the only reason why America's the only one who doesn't say that shit. So, like, it's the rest of the world loves that shit.
$89 billion.
Yeah.
It's what is that?
If we, the funny
It's
thing
about
is,
as much as all the PC and console sales put together.
exactly. I guarantee you, if we had a better public transport system in the entirety of the country,
Yeah.
that number would jump because people would just be fucking with their phones because they don't have to worry about driving.
Yep. Yeah. Or at least like Nintendo Switch or Steam Deck
Yeah.
or something like that.
All that stuff would jump up astronomically, I feel.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't get it. I fucking hate phone games. I hate them. I hate them. They suck
with a
so bad.
passion,
Every so often,
personally.
I'll get a bug and I'll try like Marvel Snap, and I play it for 20 minutes and go, nope, like not interested.
I tried doing that. I was like, I get why this is fun, but I don't give a fuck about any of this.
Yep.
I'm just gonna go play Spider-Man 2 now.
Screen's too small.
No.
I don't want to touch your filthy fucking touch controls.
They rarely ever work correctly.
Shit, now we're even more behind. Speaking of PC games, we got the announcement. All the Kingdom Hearts games except for 2 are coming to Steam.
Oh.
And not just coming, but coming like very shortly. We're getting basically it's the collections that we've already had. So Kingdom Hearts 1.5 plus 2.5 remix, Kingdom Hearts HD 2.8 final chapter prologue, and Kingdom Hearts 3 plus Remind DLC. A lot of these were already on the
they're on the Epic Store.
Epic Store, yeah.
Which is why everybody's excited because they want
on Steam.
Say what you will.
Yep.
Gamers they hate Steam, they hate Epic for some reason.
Well, I actually know why they hate Epic is because like it's like Origin, right? If you have a store where you own like 3 games on it, then it's like, oh, I don't ever open that fucking app.
That's
and then
true.
It's like, hey, do you want to play your favorite game? Find my app. And then, oh, it's got to go through an update. Oh, you've been logged out. Oh, we had instituted 2-factor authentication for some fucking reason. And it's like, I open Steam every fucking day, and like that's where all my shit is. So I do think that the level of vehemence is a little overwrought, but like I get it.
It's going to sell really well.
Yeah.
For that exact reason, though.
Yep. There's so it doesn't have the music one.
Oh yeah,
Melody
I forgot about that one.
Melody of Memory.
Yeah.
And then there was a mobile Kingdom Hearts X. It's got one of the Kingdom Hearts X things.
I have no idea.
Kingdom Hearts X back cover, but then there was an actual phone game that they put out. I don't know, man. I watched the trailer and I was just like, fucking hell. I'm glad you people like this shit. I'm glad that's for you, but I look at this trailer with all these weird Muppet babies, and then they're talking all this JRPG bullshit with their big googly heads and their clown feet. I'm just like, fuck, man.
The problem with the Kingdom Hearts is that Kingdom Hearts is like the original One Piece, which is that like you had to have started pretty early on to be a fan of it, because if you're gonna do it now, you're never going to play anything ever again because you're going to be there for like a year.
I just don't care. I don't care about these characters. It's one of the things where the art style is so off-putting to me. I hate the weird baby proportions. They look like babies. They got big old googly heads and
that the reason for that is funny because it's specifically because they teamed up with Disney, and so they are Final Fantasy Disneyfied characters.
Yep.
And that's not a joke. That's literally what's happening.
Is that the guy from The World Ends With You?
That's why Sora has it is.
They
wow. The 3DS one had them in that. Which is the Dream Drop distance. Yeah, that's the reason why Sora wasn't in Smash Brothers for so long, is because Sora's outfit is owned by Disney.
Right.
And so they're literally Disneyfied RPG characters, and I think that's fucking weird as shit.
I also hate the fact that in this video they put out, this cutscene is so copywritten on that one with the guys playing chess.
Yeah.
It's so copywritten that I had to put it on Pornhub and excise it from the dojo and put a link saying, if you want to watch it, you can watch it over here, because it was just like, oh, your video's blocked in all territories because the opening cutscene of Kingdom Hearts 3 is so massively copyright struck on YouTube. Anyway, good for you guys. I hope that you enjoy it. Great. Have fun with Kingdom Hearts. I'm not going to do that.
Good luck, guys.
I'm not going to do that.
Yeah, I'm never going to touch. I started it when it first came out. I played 2 because I borrowed it, but I got stuck on one part of it, and I never went back.
Yep. Let's see. In other game development news, you remember Creative Assembly? They're making that game Hyenas.
Yeah.
Well, you remember how Hyenas got canceled?
Yes.
Before it even really got
Horribly
into the
canceled.
public's view. Well, Creative Assembly, they're also the ones that make the Total War series, and apparently it's been announced that so they've got 3 games in development. Couldn't find any information about the first or the third one. Total War is apparently a yearly franchise.
It is. I found that out when I was writing those articles.
Yeah, I didn't realize that they put out that many of them. But apparently not the next one, but the one after that is going to be a Star Wars game.
Yeah,
Total Star Wars.
Yeah, reportedly that's what it is, and the fandom is already having a fun time with that idea.
Oh yeah,
they've been making up shit.
Yeah,
where they're just like, yeah, I remember when that was the last update for it or whatever. They're like making up like units and shit and pretending it's already been a thing. So they're already having fun with the idea.
People like that. What was it? Galaxy at War? Was it the RTS one that came out
really
a time
like
ago?
That one a lot.
So I don't know. It does seem a little weird just because the number of units in a Total War like group is like a big square of like 300 guys. And, I don't think you see very many big squares of 300 guys in the movie fighting like a big square of 300 other guys.
The only ones that work for that is the Clone Wars because that was a thing.
A little bit,
yeah. Especially the second movie.
The Geonosis stuff.
Yeah, that is one giant set of units fighting one giant set of units.
Yeah.
So yeah.
I don't know. I'd be kind of interested in checking out, but probably not. This was really fascinating. I did all these stories when I was very tired last night, so I don't know that I have like good transitions between stuff. This is okay. So if you go and you find there's a YouTuber called Nerrel, Nerrel, and they have a video called "Recompilation: An Incredible New Way to Keep N64 Games Alive." They're reporting on a piece of software that was made by another developer that is able to take an N64 ROM and then convert it into C++ so that it runs natively on your computer. So instead of running through an emulator, it runs the code native, which means that it can take full advantage of all the hardware on the system. And it's got a lot of other stuff that can be like very easily switched in. I didn't know this, but apparently like there are teams that are decompiling like N64 code.
Oh wow.
And it takes like years. Like you start it and then like after 2.5 years it'll be done, just to be able to get at the source code. And they do a lot of stuff with Link, the first one, the N64,
the Ocarina of Time.
Ocarina of Time, yeah.
You put me on the spot. My brain stopped working.
Yeah. So this guy, he did it with Majora's Mask just to kind of prove a point.
Yeah.
And like, it's really worth watching. This is like a 10-minute video, and it's very complicated and technical, but it goes into like how they're just like, this is a way that you can start by legally dumping a ROM, decoding it, and putting it somewhere where it's going to run really well without hardly any tweaking. It's going to have a lot of direct controller support.
That's crazy.
It's going to have apparently like you could put in like gyro support for like gyro aiming. Apparently it works pretty well with a lot of the ray tracing plugins that they have for stuff. And it's just but then it becomes really easy to do things like drop in new art assets for like the UI,
yeah,
have
it's
like
now
a really
native now.
Really low res UI. Yeah, you can really just get access to a lot of the different stuff, and you can get it moving like really quickly, which is great because Nintendo seems in some way. Oh yeah, they did Superman 64 just to show that it could be done.
Yeah, that's kind of fun. Maybe they'll make that game work. Who knows?
Nintendo is like allergic to letting us have access to their whole backwards library.
Oh no, they hate that idea, but it's always strange because so many of their games are owned by them. Yeah, so they could easily do that. Yeah, but there's some games that aren't like that. They could never do like the Indiana Jones game or maybe even the Shadows of the Empire. Yeah, but but all the other companies still don't want to mess with those either. Which so it's just there's so many games that like are just trapped
Right.
on older systems that you'll never be able to get, and some of them are copyright reasons because a lot of people back then really loved music plagiarism.
Oh, well, there's that too. Yeah. Apparently the music also works really, really well for this. Like music and sound effects don't crunch up. Like you can have like 16 sound effects going all at the same time, and it doesn't like destroy everything. It's really worth a watch because I like the fact that a lot of emulation teams are looking at this as a solution as opposed to just emulation, because it's like, if you guys aren't going to let us have it, then we're just going to have to do it our fucking selves.
Yeah.
I would love to see a project like this that somebody did for like the PlayStation 2.
100%. Even the PS3 itself, because the PS3 is impossible.
With all the cell processing.
Yeah.
Yep.
There's a reason why a lot of those games never get like put on the PlayStation Store.
Yeah.
Even they don't know how to fucking make it work on their systems.
Yeah. But there's a lot of smarty pantses out there on the internet with they do this shit for fun in their spare time.
Yeah.
Because they want to see it work.
They love this shit. They live for this shit.
And so it's worth checking out. It's a really interesting thing because there's just a lot of potential. Okay. We are now down to we got to go super lightning fast. So let's go lightning fast. Boom. One of the guys that was one of the original developers on Morrowind is apparently putting out like a new quest for Morrowind on Nexus mods.
That's kind of fun.
Like one of the original writers. It's like a whole new area. And after leaving Bethesda, he's like, I'm just going to fucking make some more shit for Morrowind. Like,
fuck it. Who's going to stop me?
Yeah, apparently it's out there. It's called Red Wisdom, an Ashlander Prophecy. You can download it. It's got like a whole area with people and quests and writing and all kinds of stuff.
That's really cool, actually. That's so rare. The idea that like a dev's like, I'm just gonna add more to this game that I worked on. Fuck it.
Yeah, who's gonna stop me?
Yeah,
like this is Elder Scrolls modding. No one will stop me.
No one's gonna say shit, and no one said shit, dude.
Speaking of Bethesda, apparently the Fallout London team came out and said they don't think that the updates that have been done to Fallout 4 are going to put them that far behind. They're in the final phases of getting that project ready. It was working on the Fallout 4 base engine, but then when Bethesda did the updates, it wasn't working anymore, and they didn't want to release it in a place where they had to say, well, you have to like back up to the pre-update in order to run the game,
because most people barely know how to do that to begin with.
They just want it to work, so they're working on it. They seem like they're getting really, really close. Apparently this is going to be just like a huge thing. It's so big they can't put it on Nexus mods.
Oh my god,
it's too big for Nexus mods, so it's going to be on GOG instead of Nexus mods.
Good for them.
I'll tell you how that's going. I'm actually kind of interested in playing it.
Yeah, I'm happy with them.
Nintendo bought a company called Shiver Entertainment, which is a port specialist. They did the ports of, hold your comments until I'm done with the story, Mortal Kombat 1 and apparently Hogwarts Legacy were both ported to the Switch by those guys. Now, we all know that Mortal Kombat 1 looked like absolute total garbage, but the important thing is that these guys got Mortal Kombat 1 running on the Nintendo Switch.
Yeah.
Not as a cloud thing, but natively on the Nintendo Switch.
That is impressive as hell, no matter what it looks like.
Yes. They're apparently... So, Nintendo doesn't buy companies, and the thinking here is that this company is really good at working with Unreal Engine games, and that, like, Nintendo is getting ready to release the Switch 2. There is a whole myriad of Unreal Engine games in the back catalog for other consoles that could be ported, and it would be nice to have a studio that does nothing but sit there all day long porting the games that you wish you could have sold on your Switch to the Switch 2.
Which is a great idea.
Yeah.
There's so many things that like people would love to just be able to run around with.
Absolutely.
Without having to have a Steam Deck.
Okay, and then let's see... Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League put out a bunch of skins.
I heard about those, actually.
They're all like based on the Venom Joker from the end of the Arkham Asylum, and they all look like trash. Even the people that are playing this game are like, what is this? This looks like trash. What have you done? This looks like trash.
It's really bad.
Even the Joker one looks like trash because he's giant Venom Joker, and here he's just the skinny Joker.
Yeah.
So
everybody's calling a meth head Joker.
Yep.
As well as the rest of the outfits because they're all fucking terrible.
Yeah, because we have like battle damage that looks like sores.
Yeah.
So
and he's just got like the bone stuff is still sticking out, but it doesn't look any good.
You have to look at it closely to figure out that that's what's going on.
Yeah, people are like, it just looks like he's a meth head covered in Doritos.
Yep.
It looks really bad.
And then last but not least, a couple quick movie things. We got our first look at Pyramid Head from the new Silent Hill 2 movie.
Oh yeah, that's right.
It's coming out. People are a little pressed on this because it's got this like
that thing in the middle.
Yeah, the middle of it isn't just a pyramid. It's got like a little gap with like nails in it that kind of looks like a mouth a little bit. And Silent Hill fans, a lot like Helldivers 2 fans, don't change anything ever.
It's gonna be perfect.
You change nothing. You change absolutely nothing.
I think the issue is that he was already in the first one, if I remember correctly.
He was.
So might as well have some fun with it.
Even though it didn't make any sense. His arms are a little scrawny. I mentioned Pyramid Head looking bigger.
Maybe that's why it's different.
Pyramid Head. Maybe the pyramid is even bigger than I think it is. He's actually like a big old buff dude.
That would be pretty funny.
Really big pyramid. Also, we'll finish up here. Michael, did you know that they are making a Street Fighter movie?
I do. And I know exactly who's making it.
So they put out the logo. They like posted the logo online. It looks exactly like what you would think.
It's just straight up the Street Fighter logo.
The words Street Fighter in the kind of orange, yellow, and white with the black background and stuff. I didn't realize because they were like, oh, directed by Raka Raka duo, Danny and Michael Philippou. Those are the guys that made Talk to Me?
So here's the fun thing. You know them as those guys.
Well, I know they're also YouTubers.
I know them as their YouTube where they get into deadly fights with Cookie Monster and Big Bird. And all this insane shit they've ever done.
Are they the ones that put those guys into like Mortal Kombat and stuff?
I don't remember if they did one of those. They might have. I wouldn't be surprised. But they're known for like making these really extravagant, like beating the shit out of each other, like type looking videos. And they're so much fun. So I remember when they announced they're making the Street Fighter movie. I'm like, this could go either way because they did make a Street Fighter video of them like all beating the shit out of each other, and it's a lot of fun. So I'm just like,
okay, I'm
curious as to what will happen if you give those guys a budget to make one of these types of videos.
See, my thinking was well, Talk to Me was about shitty teenagers, and shitty teenagers like to play fighting games. So maybe this will work. But that makes a lot more sense.
It's got a good chance. Like if there's a video that I always remember, which is that they're like eating cookies, and then somebody knocks at the door, and it just breaks down, and it's Cookie Monster, and he just starts beating the shit out of them for the cookies, and I'll never forget it for the rest of my life.
Well, fair enough.
Those are the guys making. So I remember when Chris was like, "Yeah, these guys made the movie." I'm like, "Those guys? They made a horror movie?" And then no one got did they get the shit beat out of them at any point in that movie?
Some people got the shit beat out of them.
He's like, yeah, that was his reaction. I'm like, okay, well, that means they're still doing what they used to. So that's what I was always fascinated by. That they're the ones who made that. So
kind of crazy.
I'm very excited to see what happens with this.
Yeah. And with that, we're gonna go ahead and take a break. We'll be back in just a minute with some trailers. And stick around. And we're back. And we've got some weird fucking trailers.
Yes.
But we're going to start with, we got the full-on announcement. This actually has been updated since the last time I looked at the story for Black Ops 6. The teasers for Black Ops 6 have started. We got some kind of like some videos that show, there's like live action videos that show, I don't know if you've seen them, where it's like people it's like a live action video of a bunch of people, and they're like walking around on like rocks, and they've got some kind of like sheets, and they're like doing stuff, they're kind of going around in the woods, and at the end it shows a picture that's kind of like been the thing for this, which is it's Mount Rushmore with all of the presidents have like tarps over their eyes, and it says "The truth lies," and then it's got like a logo on it. And apparently this is like this is kind of the big thing. We also saw kind of a blurry picture of a guy sitting kind of in a position that makes it a lot like the position for the original Black Ops, where he's kind of sitting there with his hands on his knees. And then apparently there's also, I don't even know what this is. This is what
It's a newspaper ad.
a newspaper ad. Well, it's like a fake newspaper though, right? Because it's got like Mount Rushmore defaced.
Well, I think it's the way they did the Back to the Future 2 ones, where it's just like it's a real newspaper you can buy. But it's got like a fake front page and back that you can just remove.
Okay,
so I think that's the idea
as an ad.
Yeah.
And it's got like a little logo with this little dog heads and a thing.
It's
so
like a Cerberus sort of idea.
It's going to be Black Ops. It's going to be another Black Ops. I think what the last Black Ops was Black Ops Cold War.
Yeah,
like 2 or 3 years ago.
The Reagan one.
2 years ago,
something like that. I remember people not being a big fan of that one though.
I played a little bit of it. It was strange because it had like a mission structure where you would like choose what mission you wanted to go on, and then it would change things a little bit depending on whether you did something. But I don't know, man. I just haven't like enjoyed the Call of Duty stories in quite some time. So
yeah, the last Black Ops story I really liked was 2.
Yeah,
I don't even remember what happened in 3 or 4 for that matter.
Black Ops 3 was the one with nanomachines where you were like magical, where you could cast fireballs.
Forgot
essentially.
about that,
yeah. Black Ops 4 was the hero shooter.
That's the one without the story, technically.
That
right?
technically didn't have a story, but there was a lot of evidence there was a story they just scrapped.
It was all that cutscene stuff that we made up our own story where they wanted a pizza real bad.
And then I think Black Ops 5 was the Cold War one, so this will be Black Ops 6. Yeah, I mean, I think everybody we unless it's like something brand new, we can always tend to kind of suss out which ones we're gonna get. Either like Modern Warfare. I guess last year was like Modern Warfare 3, but that was Modern Warfare 2.5 basically. When was the last time we had a new one? Was it Ghosts? Advanced Warfare?
Like a new name one? Yeah,
it
was
Infinite.
It was.
Warfare?
I think it was Ghosts actually.
Was it Ghosts? God, that was stupid.
It was really
bad.
That was
so stupid.
Those were the reasons we stopped getting them because people hated Ghosts so much.
South American mind control drugs or whatever. Like that was fucking idiotic.
If I recall, it was Ghosts. It's been a long time.
Yeah,
because it's been a long time since we've gotten one with a different name.
Very true. So yeah, we've got a little bit of that. We don't have any like trailers or anything yet. We've just got these kind of. They put out a couple of those live action videos, but you know they're all kind of similar.
The funny thing about that live action video is my brain can't stop being like, how did they get it to stay on there? Like they would have had to, like drill or something to keep it on there.
Yep.
But, like I can't get it. I can't let it go.
Oh, you have to do a frame by frame analysis for the second YouTube channel. There is no second YouTube channel. Don't ask me about second YouTube channels. We also found out that the current season 4 of Modern Warfare 3 Warzone is getting. Let's see. We've had a lot of dumb DLC things. I think the last one that we complained about was Cheech and Chong, right?
That one doesn't make any sense.
Well, it makes no fucking sense. Okay, Michael, here's a question, since I think we have time, but it never actually is that. What makes less sense, Cheech and Chong in Modern Warfare or the Iron Giant in Multiverses? Because they're both pacifists.
Cheech and Chong more, because at least the Iron Giant, when he pisses them off, will murder some motherfuckers,
right?
But Cheech and Chong are the most like peaceful people on the planet,
right?
Like in general.
So Gundam. They're putting Gundams in Modern Warfare. These are there's like 3 or 4 different suits. There's like an RX-78. There's a Zaku. They're putting in the Ariel, but they're all like suits.
Yeah.
So they're not like the actual mechs. So like you can actually see kind of like cloth and fabric, like somebody wearing a Comic-Con outfit.
You can see like it's clearly a guy in a suit.
Yeah. And I mean, they're not going to be big. They're going to be the size of the regular people in Modern Warfare. So.
It's not the Godzilla thing where you see giant, mobile suits walking around.
That'd be awesome.
It's funny because the way I found out about it was from Penny Arcade doing a webcomic about it.
Yeah,
because Gabe has the misunderstanding that there actually are just giant Gundams walking around murdering people.
Oh,
and they're just like, it seems a bit unfair, if a player's walking around as a 60-foot tall fucking robot slashing people. They're like, but they knew the consequences of war. And Tycho's like, no, dude, it's just. Guys are like Halloween outfits. Like, oh, that's dumb.
Yeah. It's a lot. It's pretty silly. I don't know. It doesn't because all I can imagine is I can look at these character models and go like, they're kind of nice models.
The RX one is not bad looking compared to the other ones.
But then the idea of seeing somebody doing the like Call of Duty run with like an M4 and then shooting as a Gundam, and I'm like, well, that's. just a guy in a costume.
That's just silly.
That's not a real Gundam. That's a fake Gundam.
It's a phony.
It's a phony. It's a big fat phony.
Big fat phony.
Also, I think the Ariel one looks like absolute garbage, to be honest. Like
The Ariel one is the most like this is this guy in a suit.
yeah, well, because
it's just weird looking.
It's like Ariel is kind of more feminine coded because it's skinnier.
Yeah.
But like they put it on top of a lady, so it's got like Gundam boobs and like
It's just awkward.
it looks really weird, and the head is too big, it's too big like a helmet. Like I don't know, it just doesn't look very good. I don't know.
Before anybody asks, that's not enough. I'm tempted. Don't get me wrong, but I'm not going to do it.
Okay,
But if they add Goku in it, that's what happened with Fortnite.
yeah.
So they got me in there.
Let's see. We've got the launch trailer for X Defiant. I don't know why I kept this in here because I think we're going to have a lot of the similar stuff to
Yeah,
say.
we already talked about it.
It was pretty much fine.
It's a fun trailer, though. I'll give them that.
Yeah, it's nice. It shows all the different factions and stuff. I don't believe though. We should say those motherfuckers had the gall to be like the one good property that Ubisoft has put out. Watch Dogs 2. All the dead set characters are locked behind the season pass.
Yeah, which is so weird.
You can't play as them, but
Or you can just buy them through coins. Is the other thing.
yeah. If you
Either
get
way,
it,
it's something.
also we played like 3 matches and didn't even get a single level out of all those matches. I don't know.
Or for DeadSec?
No, for just X Defiant. We didn't level up once on the free battle pass.
Oh yeah, the free battle pass. Turns out the battle pass is really hard to level up.
Yeah. So, let's see. Okay, well, Michael, you might not be getting more Dragon Ball in Fortnite, but you are getting power armor. They're putting Fallout. It's Fallout X Fortnite.
Oh, that's fun.
I don't know why anybody would be like surprised at this point. Like you could say you're putting anything in Fortnite. Like,
I would never be surprised.
we're
at this
putting
point.
Bob's Burgers in Fortnite. I'd be like, yeah, that makes fucking sense.
Family
Like,
Guy was in there already.
Yeah,
I'm amazed The Simpsons hasn't been in there.
that makes perfect sense.
I would laugh out loud if they're like Neil deGrasse Tyson
Right.
now in Fortnite. I would be like, I guess.
Yep, sure.
I wouldn't question it.
I mean, like if they announced that I was going to be in Fortnite, I'd be like, I never even signed anything, but like I guess it makes sense.
That
like
makes sense. RageSelect, the RageSelect collab all of a sudden.
they did all the regular YouTubers. Now they're just going to like the also rans over here.
Our exclusive weapon is the dick bees.
Right.
It
Yep.
shoots. It's a gun
It's a
shaped like a
grenade.
dick.
Oh, yeah,
It shoots
no.
out dicks. That shoots out bees.
Yeah, I don't know these power armors.
What would our pickaxe be? Legitimately.
That's a good question. Let's see. Just cocaine? I don't know. Like big brick of cocaine on the end of a stick.
Yeah,
like,
that would make sense. Yeah.
I don't know.
In the comments, let us know. I'm curious. What would you make our Fortnite characters be like? I'm legitimately curious.
Is it just the tomahawks from Red Dead Redemption?
Maybe.
What is it? Is there a Gary Marzipan skin in
There's not.
Fortnite? That's
I'm amazed there isn't. But
crying ass shame. Or like CJ from Grand Theft Auto.
that would be the emote though. Tiny circles.
These are. It's like it's an. I paid for this emote. What is it? You just spin the camera around. That's all that happens.
Tiny circles. It's also a great dodge.
These are pretty good looking. They're a little
they're
smaller.
really good looking.
I mean, they can't be like gargantuan, right? Because they have to be the same. You can't give a bigger hitbox, right?
Yeah, even the Hulk is like that kind of size, but with tiny hands. So
Yeah.
there was only so much you could do with it. Although people were wishing they had like other power armors besides just that one,
Right.
because that seems to be the default one nowadays.
Yeah. Yep. Let's see. Speaking of crossovers, we got the full launch trailer for Multiverses with a few new announcements. This is pretty fun. An actual like full-on little animated thing as opposed to
Yeah, that's what they did with that very first trailer, but they like really went in on it for this one.
Yeah.
It was a very fun trailer. Mm-hmm. It does make me like really excited to get back into it.
Yeah, so they showed the Joker, which we knew was going to be in there. The big announcement is probably the fact that at the end the Joker's like, I'm going to need some. I like to work alone usually, but I'm going to need some help. Jason Voorhees,
Yeah.
and Agent Smith from The Matrix as more characters that are going to be in there. Did you see the Jason specific trailer?
I didn't know there was a Jason specific trailer.
Oh, by the way, there is a part of this where the Iron Giant goes falling down, and he falls past a building that says the Townsville Bank. So, talked about the Powerpuff Girls, all but confirmed.
There's also like a Dexter level too, so people are hoping that Dexter will show up eventually.
Oh, there you go.
Also, Rick has voice lines, which is great, but I think it's purely because now they have a different voice actor, so he's willing to do shit like that now.
Yeah. It's pretty interesting. They do, like I said, they did have a specific trailer that was for Jason, which basically just showed that they have the Jason X costume as an alt costume.
Apparently, he's like the last of the season pass for the new season pass.
Oh, okay.
The Uber Jason is apparently what he's called.
I can't find it. Anyway, I hope that there it is. I hope that was an actual Call of Duty trailer. Anyway, I hope this game does well. Like, there's been some kind of articles about how, like, rather than letting the game just kind of fade into obscurity, the fact that they can go ahead and that they shut it down for a year and change. Like,
here's what I'll say: what I really like about Jason is that they made him just this big fucking guy, like a big cartoony design.
Is it? I mean, maybe I've just been inured by the rest of the stuff, but like one of his attacks is like a sleeping bag with a dead person in it.
Yeah.
That he's slapping people with. Is it weird to have this violent of a character fighting fucking Bugs Bunny and Finn from Adventure Time? Like,
it is weird, but that's what makes it great. That's why everybody was like, "What the fuck?" Like Jason, because people were wondering like, what is the limit of like what you're doing? Because before that, it was all like the only weird one was out of everybody was the Game of Thrones lady.
Yeah.
And so
Arya Stark.
But now it means like the people who are like add Heisenberg to it now have like, oh wait, no, this could actually be a thing if you go hard
Tony
enough.
Soprano.
Yeah. I'm cool with this. Like, keep going.
Yeah.
Because I would love to see the more stylized like characters that would not normally have a stylized thing. And so that's what I think is the great thing about Multiverse compared to the Nickelodeon one, kind of thing. So I am very excited to see what we end up with more as it goes on.
It's very strange. Yeah. It's just real weird. It's real strange. I don't know. It'll be interesting to see how this ends up going. I'm with you. I hope that they do well. I hope that it ends up being good that they pulled it back and then brought it back in.
They've added a lot of stuff to it too since then.
I guess they needed villains because they're putting in some kind of like single player challenge thing.
Oh, okay. There weren't a lot of villains even in their thing. Like even in their trailer, like one of their villains is just like an alternate Wonder Woman skin.
Right.
So it's like, okay, I guess.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of movie crossovers, we got Gigabash has the Godzilla Nemesis 2 Kaiju pack that comes with the Smog Monster and King Ghidorah.
Yeah.
I'm glad to see the Smog Monster. I was bitching last week about how, like, I wish there were more of the weird kaiju out there.
Yeah, Ghidorah is like the ultimate, like, what the fuck is this thing kind of monster. But he's also still kind of timely. And I'm glad that he got added to it.
I'm glad that Gigabash seems like a relative success because it's a smaller game. Like,
I did buy this too. It was like $7 for the two of them.
The DLC.
Yeah, because it's a separate pack. I was hoping it would be like within the other one, but it wasn't. So
yeah,
which is fine, I guess.
Because they had the first one that had like it was Godzilla and like Ultraman and
well, they made two different. Yeah, there was a Godzilla pack and an Ultraman pack, and I think it's 3 characters on the other one. Because it was Godzilla, Mechagodzilla, and Gigan, I think. Was the other one.
Okay.
I could have sworn there was a fourth one. It was Destroya.
Oh, okay.
And then there was an Ultraman one. But I don't know the name of the Ultraman one, so I'm not even going to say. But I know there were 4 of them. Ultraman, other Ultraman, evil-looking lady Ultraman, and one of the aliens from it. That's all I could remember.
We also got the DLC launch of the Dave the Diver Godzilla crossover.
Which I'm still amazed is a thing.
This had been kind of on the horizon, but the whole thing apparently tends to be that Ebera, the lobster monster,
the sea monster one,
like shows up in Dave the Diverville, and then Godzilla shows up to fight Eberron or Ebera or whatever it is.
That's a fun idea, though.
It's interesting looking Godzilla. He's got like what is it, the one where he dies,
Yeah,
right?
it's the burning Godzilla.
Yeah. But apparently, like, from this montage, it seems like Godzilla's going to become your friend. There's a point where he's, like, in the background, what looks like changing the weather for you by shooting the sky.
That's pretty fun.
Yeah. Like, and there's a submarine with this new character. I don't know. It's interesting. I wonder, are we going to get to cook Godzilla? Probably not.
We're probably going to cook the sea monster, though.
The Ebra,
that most likely is going to be what the end game is. Because that would make the most sense as to why it's him specifically.
Yes.
So I think that's kind of fun.
Also, this is out the day that we're recording this, so
really?
It'll be out by the time you guys hear it, which was weird because they teased it, but they never did a pre-release date. They just and it's out now. So
yeah, there was one trailer before that, which was Godzilla coming out of the water.
I think there were two.
Nothing.
I think there was one more at another thing.
Was there another one? I didn't know that. But I'm curious to see how people react to this.
Dave the Diver is amazing, and if you haven't played it, you should totally play it. It's on everything now. Yeah. Go for it.
I wonder if Matt's going to play it.
Michael, your favorite game is getting an update.
I'm actually legitimately amazed this is still a thing.
Crime Boss Rocky City is getting the Cagnali's Order DLC, where it appears some person is coming to Rocky City with a bunch of cop robots to take over, and only you and Michael Madsen and Vanilla Ice and Michelle Pfeiffer. No, wait, who is it? It wasn't Michelle Pfeiffer.
It was how do I say this? Kim Basinger.
Kim Basinger. Yes. And Danny Trejo and
is Chuck Norris still a character?
Chuck Norris is in here, but he kind of seems like he might start at least on the side of the robots. Anyway, I have a weird thing to say, but like this trailer looks pretty good. Like,
no, it's a great trailer, which is why it's even weirder that it's in this game.
Like, did they do a next gen update that made this game look a lot better than it did when we first played it?
Also, did you notice the symbols for the bad guys just looks like the OCP logo, but with some editing to it?
A little razzmatazz.
Yeah.
Yep. What are you doing, Crime Boss Rocket? How are you a thing?
How did you pay for this?
How did Kerbal Space Program 2 developers get shut down and Crime Boss Rocket City is putting out DLC? Like,
oh, yeah, there's Chuck Norris roundhousing a robot.
Yep, Chuck Norris roundhouse kicks a robot. What in the world is this, and how did it get made, and how?
I don't know.
Am I going to play it? I might play it.
Of course we're going to play
June 18th? Well, it depends. Do you have to get to the end game of Crime Boss Rocket City before you can play the DLC? Yeah. I don't want to play that much Crime Boss Rocket City.
I don't either. Although I kind of do at the same time. I don't know. This game's fucking weird.
There was this part in this trailer where somebody opens their hands like they've got the pills from the Matrix, but one of them looks like Viagra and the other one is just a mint.
Yeah.
Like, what is that?
This is just, I don't know what's going on.
But there's some really like well-rendered hands with that weird choice in it. Like,
it's crazy.
I
can't believe this game exists.
It doesn't make any sense.
Make it make sense, Jeff.
Michael, there's a new Dragon Ball Xenoverse 2 Future Saga Chapter 1 launch trailer.
Oh, I guess I have something I got to download later.
Yep.
I just deleted the damn game from my PlayStation.
This is the one that's like an alternoverse thing. You go through time.
Yeah.
So you put your OC into various points of the Dragon Ball saga.
Well, you're a time cop.
You're a time cop?
Yeah, you're a time cop.
You're
that is literally the plot.
What once went wrong?
Yeah, literally. That's literally what the plot of Xenoverse is.
Okay.
You're a time cop who has to make sure that the universe plays out the way it's supposed to. But they added like alternate like reality stories, which is half the fun of Xenoverse. And so I've seen a few of the cutscenes because people have already posted some of them. But I'm actually like I always go back and I go through them because I want to see because I want to play them with my weird OC Super Saiyan Blue character.
Sure.
So yeah, I actually am excited to go through these.
There's a lot of it doesn't look that bad. Like it actually still looks pretty good.
Yeah, because they've just been working on it for like ever. And the funny thing is that you can see like the new character models versus the old ones because the shading is like way different.
Yeah,
because Goku's like super shiny compared to Broly.
So you got Broly, Goku Black, the Vegeta arc. What else? Maybe that's all.
They only come out with a few at a time, but they always like add like multiple characters.
And then they added a bunch of different fighters.
This game has been going on forever.
I know.
Like,
that's
like Grand Theft Auto 5. This game has been out for a very long time.
Yeah, it's very weird. I don't know. What's the best part of what you're seeing here, Michael? Anything specific?
I like the alternate like reality evil Goku Black ideas. Like this is like a Vegeta Black instead of if Goku Black.
I have a question that requires a succinct answer. I don't want to get into too much Dragon Ball, Michael.
Okay.
Why is Brawly a small guy? I thought he was a really big guy.
So in like the easiest terms of putting it, there's Brawly, normal Super Saiyan Brawly, and then legendary Super Saiyan Brawly. So that's the difference. Like he's just normal Super Saiyan right there.
Okay.
Instead of like evil like Ultimate Super Saiyan. Basically.
Double Super Saiyan.
People call it legendary.
Okay.
That's why it's like green. And so like that's the differences between the three specifically.
Okay.
And I actually really like his second form because it is just like, what if he was just a normal Super Saiyan kind of thing? So
yeah.
I really like I was a big fan of that Brawly. That Brawly rarely shows up and stuff. So that's why I'm happy he's in there.
Okay. They're also putting some Sandland costumes in.
Oh, that's fun.
They had some variety of different like screens and stuff, but then I think the last thing that they showed was or I don't know, it might be after this stuff. And it's all free?
No, there's the pack version and then there's the free version.
Oh, okay.
Or the free update. The free update is all the costume stuff, whereas the story stuff is the paid stuff.
You got to pay for the quests.
Yeah. Which is why it's made so much money, because they have made a fuck ton of those. They've gotten so much money from me, Jeff. Oh my god!
You talk about spending $100 on one game.
Yeah. The only difference is I waited for them to go on sale, and it still cost me quite a bit. Yeah, it's crazy.
So yeah, you can get the Beelzebub costume or T-shirt.
Oh, that's pretty fun
if you want. So,
I think there's like a wig too.
Mm-hmm.
Good for them.
We got another trailer for Black Myth Wukong, which is still not out yet.
I'm surprised by that. It looks like a fun time though.
Yeah, I mean, I think that like what's going on here looks, pretty similar to the stuff that we've seen. It's like a really well polished kind of third-person action game. I'm really hoping, between this and like Stellar Blade, it seems like it could be the year of like interesting, weird games that aren't part of an existing franchise.
Yeah, fun, interesting character action games are back.
Yeah,
and I'm cool with that.
Mostly just hoping that it doesn't end up being too hard, that they don't end up like jacking up the difficulty in a way that. Makes it a big thing. But like, yeah, this trailer we see kind of just a bunch of action sequences. We see this part at the end where he picks up the crown. So pretty cool. And then I think, does it have a release window?
I don't know yet. The description.
August 20th.
Okay.
So yeah,
okay, that's not too far.
We got the launch trailer for Ghost of Tsushima Director's Cut. Reminding me, I gotta say, anytime they put out a trailer for one of these, like we put one of the best games that you loved from the PlayStation on the PC, I was like, I kind of want to go back and replay that game.
I kind of do too, but also because like it now has everything at this point, like everything has long been added to it, and it would give a great reason to go back, especially because they did the lip syncing for the Japanese version.
Oh yeah.
So you can
and then they also have the big DLC island.
Yeah, which I never did. I never did go back for that part.
Yep, I had to play almost halfway through the game to get there, because when I was trying to delete my save game, that's when I deleted all of my PlayStation save games. So
which goddamn, that's still crazy to me.
Yep. Let's see. We got the launch trailer for Hellblade 2, which is a bunch of really great looking cutscenes in between Senua talking to herself and screaming and weird shit's happening.
That game is so interesting to me because it's a story game first than anything else.
Yes. It's more story than anything else, but then like it's so funny because I was watching this trailer and I was like, like 70% of the shots in this trailer are things that I feel like you and I played in the first hour and a half of the game.
Yeah.
So
there's a lot of sequences here that like we did end up doing.
So it does make me wonder if they're just like being coy about what happens later, or how much game there actually is there. So still though, if you got Game Pass and you got a system that'll run it, seems like a good game. Seems like it's kind of tailor-made for Game Pass, to be honest.
Oh, 100%.
Like,
this is not a game that I would have paid for originally. And I don't mean that because I don't mean that like I hate Hellblade as a thing. It's just that I don't know how long that game probably is.
Sure. Not paying full price would probably be a better.
Because Hellblade 1 really rubbed people the wrong way because it was so short at the time.
Let's see. You can tell it was a slow week because I put Chivalry 2 update. Chivalry 2 actually rules all if you actually want an online, like, I kind of love these online medieval first-person combat games.
Oh, they're fun times.
Because they're so bug nuts. Like, they're just so chaotic.
They're brutal.
And this one has the Regicide update where basically, like, it's adding in, near as I can tell, it's adding in some factions and some stuff. But the big thing is that you have, like king units now that can fight each other. So at the end of this trailer, you see that there's these two kings going at it in the midst of the battlefield, which is kind of fun.
They're probably like stronger than the other ones.
Yeah. Probably one of those things where you get to you get chosen, like a specific person gets chosen to be the king.
That's really fun. I love that idea a lot.
Yeah. Chivalry 2 is great. Like, I really, really, really enjoyed it. I'm sure that there's probably, if you play 100 hours of it, there's probably something to complain about. Yeah. But
it's definitely one of those like weird, crazy multiplayer ideas that I'm glad is still a thing.
I would rather play Chivalry 2 than X Defiant.
Yeah.
Honestly, any day of the week. Any day of the week. But you know what I'd rather play than Chivalry 2? Kingmakers. This is that game where it's like what if you went back in time to the medieval fantasy but you had a machine gun, like taken to the nth degree. This new trailer from Tiny Build had a little thing, shows a character on a motorcycle just like riding around a group of knights shooting at them with like a machine gun off of one side.
Yeah, it's like the year 1400 and he's like just shooting people to death.
Yeah, he's got like a grenade launcher and a shotgun at one point, and it's just like, okay. But Michael, I gotta tell you, whoever's making this game knows exactly how to market it because this looks pretty awesome, right?
It just looks like a fun, stupid idea.
Yeah.
Like somebody was like, what if you were just a guy with guns in the middle of this fight?
Totally accurate battle simulator, but like you get to just grab a machine gun and fucking start jumping on people. But then at the end, it's just like, oh yeah, also there's a tank in this game.
Oh my God.
So you just fucking and like all the buildings and shit are destructible, so you can just kind of like mow down the entire like 14th century with a tank.
I love this so much.
I cannot wait to get my hands on this game. I think it looks amazing.
Oh my God.
I don't really even care if there's a story. It'd be even better if there is a story. Because were you here when we talked about this originally?
No, I was not.
Oh, okay. Hold on.
Fucking, like, that art is fantastic.
Oh,
with him on a horse with SWAT armor with a machine gun shooting a knight to death.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Here's the announcement trailer. So it's very similar. They show kind of like you just running through with like a truck.
It's a fucking pickup truck.
A pickup truck. It's very kind of like Army of Darkness.
Yeah.
Except Ash got to bring all of the PUBG stuff with him. So they show a lot of this stuff, and it's all pretty awesome. And then you get to the end of the trailer, and the character zoops into like a future. Like a futuristic world.
Oh my God.
So like I'm not entirely sure how this works, but
I think maybe that's the plot. Like you're just a guy from the future who's just like, I'm gonna go back in time and make myself king.
Everybody was supposed to die in this fight, so you got to go back with a machine gun and make sure that everyone dies.
I love this idea so much.
Whatever it is, I want it. I need it. Put it directly into my veins.
How's
Shut up
this
and take
not
my
been
money.
a thing already? That's my question.
I mean, I guess totally accurate battle simulator is about as close as you get with like.
No, but I'm like, how did somebody not watch Bill and Ted and was like, what if I did that but violent?
Right. Another part of that Tiny Build Connect is we got another trailer for Duckside, which is basically that like Rust game, but you're a duck.
Yeah, I remember us being like, what the fuck?
This trailer will not answer that question, Michael. It appears to be just a survival game, but you're a duck.
Yeah.
And also there's people for some reason.
You can still do axes like normal person.
Yeah, you have like axes and guns and stuff, but they just float to one side of you. And you like fly through the air like a duck, but then shoot people with a floating machine gun that's next to you and blow places up. And it's just like, okay.
Unique indie games this year.
Yeah. They're going to have an open beta starting next month.
Oh, okay.
Which was
so crazy.
What was it? June 6th. So yeah, I think it's kind of like I don't know, like a gag game that could end up being very popular.
It's gonna have a niche, and I very excited for that niche to post their stuff on YouTube.
I don't know if you've seen it, but there are several points within this trailer where these ducks are wearing two hats at the same time.
I didn't notice that.
Where it's like they've got a hat and then they've got another hat on top of the first hat.
Oh my God.
So I don't know.
I'm curious to how this will play out.
See, we got the launch trailer for the definitive edition of PO'd. This is an old boomer shooter that Night Dive is putting out for some reason.
I've never heard of this though.
Yeah. I don't know if this is gonna. I mean, like, it doesn't seem like it took a lot of work.
No, they didn't like super like enhance the shit out of it.
So it's good from a game archival perspective. I don't know, like, it's already out. Like, this was the launch trailer, but it's already out. And I've been, I keep looking at these trailers, Michael, and going like, do I want to play this on RageSelect? And I keep going like, I don't think I do. Like, it doesn't look fun enough for that.
It could be a decent Patreon.
Maybe. I don't know.
But it would have to really be a slow week.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't know. There's a lot of other stuff out there that
it's
I think
no
I'd
Bubsy
rather...
3D.
Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know. Like, I literally have never heard of it. It's not a game that, like, because that's the thing. There was a lot of these types of shooters, but people would talk about them.
Yep.
If they were, like, really fun. I'd never even heard of this fucking one. And I was around at this time.
Maybe it was big in Europe.
Maybe, actually. That tracks. That happens quite a bit with games.
Yeah. I don't know. The PlayStation. We also got System Shock remake launched on consoles.
Oh, fun.
I had this trailer in here, Michael. This was funny. This was on the official PlayStation channel. And for all of today, the title of this YouTube video was Slime Rancher 2 DLC, some name of DLC, something. So you go down to the comments, people are like, wow, Slime Rancher looks really different.
Yeah, they really changed their ideas for Slime Rancher 3 or whatever.
This System Shock remake was great. If y'all have never played System Shock before, especially if you're a fan of like vent crawler type games like Deus Ex or Prey, like this is kind of one of the first ones of those.
It's really the grandfather of the ideas of like this sort of look. Like even BioShock has a lot to owe to this game.
Yeah. Yep. So yeah, go check it out. So,
besides the word shock,
PS5, PS4. I think it was ex Looking Glass employees who made BioShock.
Yeah, I remember that being the idea. I think because that was one of the things. Like it was no secret that was the idea.
Yeah. Let's see. We got the Akuma launch trailer for Street Fighter.
Akuma is a fascinating fucking character that they released.
How do you figure?
Because he's got specific specials that were like hidden.
Yeah.
That like involve his taunt.
Really?
Yeah, like if you do his taunt in a specific way, he does like a specific super. And there's another one, if you do his taunt in a specific way, he gets a new moveset to turn into Shin Akuma.
Really?
But it's such a specific, like, long time thing to do the Shin Akuma thing that you both have to just agree that he's going to be Shin Akuma. Because he sits down and he pulls out like a rice ball and he just eats it. For like a few seconds. And then he just gets up with Shin Akuma moves and you're like, what the fuck?
So really, really easy to knock out of.
Yeah, like it would be impossible to do without the other guy agreeing to it.
Right.
Kind of thing. And I think that's fascinating.
Interesting. You also showed me a video of this super thing where it was like Akuma starts his ultimate move and then like Zangief, like as he's winding up, Zangief launches his and then does the entire animation for his entire ultimate. And then when he hits the ground, it's like the screen goes to white and then it's Akuma standing there and Zangief is dead on the ground. And it's like,
amazing.
wait, what?
It was amazing. I laughed so hard. Because you're like, what? Because like the whole thing doesn't make any sense.
Yeah.
Because it does the screen going black and then him doing the Akuma thing. But then you see Zangief like punching.
Yeah.
And then he does the whole thing. And then, he's just down on the ground.
He's just broken right now.
Yeah.
Apparently.
He's a really good character right now. So we'll see what happens post patch because they're gonna patch the shit out of that character.
They're gonna quote unquote fix him and then nobody can have fun with it anymore.
Yeah, exactly.
In the end. Yeah. Speaking of launches, we got the launch date for V Rising on the consoles, at least PS5. It's June 11th. It's funny. I went back to play V Rising, and I kind of got stuck in the end game, and I decided like I don't think I want to play any more V Rising because I just keep dying to bosses, and there's not any way for me to overpower them. And I was like, I don't want to have to look up how to beat this game, so I think I'm done here. But if you're into a challenge, I think it's a fun hybrid of kind of action and survival stuff. So
okay,
yeah, give it a shot. And last but not least, I don't normally put these. There's this article on Polygon that was the headline of it was, "Why am I crying because of a damn video game commercial?" This is for College Football 25 by EA Sports. What's funny is that like this entire trailer, there's not any actual. It's like they show all the teams like coming out of the locker room and doing whatever their lucky thing is, like touching like a statue or something.
Okay.
And it's very like cinematic. It's not like you don't see anybody playing the actual game. It's also what you're missing is that it's is it Guns N' Roses they're playing in the back? They're playing some like really poppy song in the background. And they've got like the mascots, and they've got the audience, they've got all these like shots of them walking into the stadium. It's very like it's the part of football. It's why I like watching Any Given Sunday.
It's the behind the scenes fun stuff that like makes football actually legitimately interesting.
Also, it's a lot like Call of Duty, where if you take football and you give me a 3-minute trailer that smash cuts between like the best part of every game, I'll be like, that looks amazing.
Yeah.
But then we go to play it, and you're like, oh, it doesn't play like that.
Yeah, it's never what you see in a trailer.
Yeah. But I do have to say, they just keep making everything in these football games look good.
Yeah.
But they all look so exceptional. So
they always look really good, but it all depends on how buggy are they afterwards, though, is the other issue.
My whole thing is that I can't play them because they don't have like a tutorial, because you'd have to teach me how to play football.
Yeah.
Like when I need to use certain types of plays and like what stats are important for what. And it doesn't work like that. Nobody's going to sell a football game that teaches you like the fundamentals of football, the sport, not how to play Madden, but like the actual sport
You'll
you're
have
playing.
to have Brian Salisbury next to you at all times to be
Yes.
like, what does this mean, Brian? And you'll be like, how did you get in my house?
Oh, their Skulls is happening right now. The Warhammer thing.
Oh, yeah, that's
why I
right.
keep saying Warhammer stuff in my feed.
Yeah, that is happening right now. Rahul Kohli, I think, is hosting it.
Yeah, that's why I keep seeing like everything is just full of. Okay.
Yeah, it keeps bringing up new ones.
We'll get back to that.
We'll talk about that next week.
It's only 2 weeks until Summer Games Fest.
Is it really?
You realize that?
Oh,
yeah.
my God.
We're recording this on the 23rd, and so we've got next week, and then the week after, starting on Friday the 7th. That's the first day of Summer Games Fest, baby.
New E3 is dropping.
Yep.
Well, not the actual E3.
And I think the
died.
Microsoft one is on Sunday. And I don't know what other ones there are. I think there's a 2K one.
That sounds right.
I know there's a 2K one.
Ubisoft one?
No, 2K is it's a story that I have here. 2K is, I swear I got to do this as a segue. 2K is going to be, apparently they put out a tweet saying 2K plans to reveal the next iteration in one of 2K's biggest and most beloved franchises at Summer Games Fest on Friday, June 7th.
I wonder what that means.
So currently the frontrunners are Mafia, Borderlands, or BioShock.
Oh, that would make sense.
Because there is a team working on another BioShock. Mafia hasn't had they had the Mafia 1 remaster, but they haven't. Mafia 3 was like 2016, so it's been a while. And then Borderlands, it would make sense to have a new Borderlands with the movie coming out, even though we did have Tales from the Borderlands in 2022. So I don't know. What are you putting your money on? I'm gunning for Mafia. I liked Mafia 3 a lot. So
Mafia would be a nice idea, but with what we already know about the BioShock thing, that would make the most sense.
Yeah,
but we it's hard to tell with these types of announcements, because for all we know, it's none of them.
Well, sure.
Yeah. They could come in and they'd be like, "Oh, you remember that game that came out like 30 years ago that nobody played? There's a new one." Like, I wouldn't be surprised if it's that sort of thing.
It's just another Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer.
Yeah. Turns out that's all it is. Everything's Grand Theft Auto 6 now.
Yeah.
You're Grand Theft Auto 6.
The makers of Stellar Blade are strongly considering a PC release for the game, which would be smart.
It'd be smart
to do.
Also, all the weirdos can make their nude outfits now.
Sure. But apparently the it's been so successful that they're planning on, it kind of set up for some sequel bait, but they're planning on like really diving into that universe and making like 2 or 3 more games in there. I'm like,
good for them.
All right.
I'm happy it did well.
Hey, I thought it was a perfectly good video game. So there you go. Let's see. Hunt Showdown is getting an update pretty soon, August 15th. This is the update that's going to bring Hunt Showdown up to the PS5, Xbox Series X, and then enhanced on the PC.
Oh, cool.
Very strange. When that update comes out, the game will no longer run on the PS4, Xbox One, or previous. So,
that is a very strange thing to do.
Basically, they put out a statement saying, like, all your progression totally tied to your account, and if you buy the next-gen consoles, it'll totally come along, but you're no longer be able to launch the game on those previous consoles.
That is the weirdest thing I've ever heard.
I wonder if it has something to do with, like, you can't run Unreal 5 and Unreal 4 code to talk to each other in like a multiplayer format or something like that.
There's something clearly that they just can't get to work correctly.
If I was the makers of Hunt: Showdown, I don't think I would be doing anything to let players leave my ecosystem, because I get the impression that game is not exactly like Helldivers 2 in it now.
Half the time I forget it exists until something like this comes up.
I don't think we ever even played it on RageSelect.
No, we didn't. I found out about it through another Let's Play thing, and they weren't exactly having the most fun with it either.
Yeah. I mean, the next gen screenshots look real nice and everything, but I don't want to. Let's see. Toby Fox came out and said Deltarune Chapter 4 is very close to completion.
Oh, fun.
This was announced a little while back that Chapter 3, Chapter 4 will come out simultaneously, but he specifically said that he doesn't want anybody holding their breath, because even though they're almost content complete, they will do a lot of tuning on like difficulty for various dungeons and stuff like that. So
it makes sense.
Don't get crazy.
Yeah.
Be patient.
Don't lose your shit.
I'm just kind of amazed that we're still doing Undertale adjacent stuff this far into the future. Like,
well, it's because it's always been him, so it's always up to him if they're still doing it. So
yeah, apparently though he hired a bunch of people to help out with the Deltarune,
which is good because it takes a long time for him to make these by himself.
Yeah,
and it's crazy that he started doing this like with Earthbound mods,
right?
Yeah, like that song that's used Megalovania, that he made that for that Earthbound mod, and he was like 15 at the time.
Yeah.
You can tell when you play that game. This is written by a 15-year-old.
Michael, we don't have time for this, but those weird like ads on the internet where the little guy gets all his powers taken away and he has to click on number 2 and number 3 and number 4. Why is it always the thing that takes away his power some kind of evil woman?
I don't know.
It's always like some kind of evil plant woman or like a...
They didn't used to be, but one day they all became giant, sexy, evil women.
Right.
And I don't know what caused that.
And every time I see it, I'm just like, but why are they always giant, evil women? Like, I don't get it. Anyway, sorry.
That's how they get you.
I just don't get it. I talked about this with you before off the mic, but Ninja Theory's getting the approval to make another game.
I'm very happy for them.
Which is good, because they put out a weird thank you for buying our game statement that was white text on a black background on Twitter. That's the same kind that a lot of places use when they're being shut down.
Yeah, it sounded like a death sentence note or some kind. And you're like, oh, this could go either way now.
Yeah. So, this is, they were already working on something called Project Mara, but they're going to be working on another game in addition to that. So,
okay, we'll see how that goes.
Yeah. Let's see. The Paradox Interactive game, Life by You, their Sims clone, has been delayed.
Okay.
It was supposed to come out late last year, and then they delayed it to earlier this year, and then it got delayed to later this year, and they come out and said they're delaying it again. No concrete release date because they don't know how long it's going to take.
Yeah.
Paradox, I think, is the publisher for City Skylines 2 and a number of other troubled projects at this point, so they've delayed Prison Architect 2. And they're also publishing Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines 2. A lot of games in very strange states of development. So
yeah, okay.
And then let's finish up with FNAF 2. The movie has a December 2025 release date, so just in time for Christmas, you'll be able to watch another shitty shitty movie.
That movie was so strange because I couldn't get a straight answer from anybody if it was good or not.
It was terrible.
Because I would talk to somebody and they'd be like, it's the worst thing I've ever seen. And then some random person I would talk to again would be like, I thought it was amazing. And then another person would be like, what is happening?
Yeah.
Like, which one of you is right in this instance? And I think the difference is, did you like the games is what the answer is always ends up becoming.
Yep. Let's see. Apparently you can't play Steam games in your Tesla anymore. This is kind of a random stuff, but it kind of goes
to begin with.
Well, it used to be that if you parked, the car had to be in park, but you could then install Steam on the car, and you could run Steam games on the screen that was like the dashboard in a Tesla. You can no longer do that, which I think is probably a good thing. I don't think that we need self-driving cars that also let you play video games. Seems like a recipe for death. So
it's a recipe of like draining a battery.
Well, also that, yeah. Let's see. All right, let's do some fun stuff. Somebody installed 100+ mods in Starfield and turned it into a Mandalorian Star Wars game.
Oh my god, that looks amazing.
It looks pretty good. It's like they've got mods that replace all the text with Arabesh. They've got mods that make it so that there's like aliens walking around, like of the different Star Wars races. There's got like stormtroopers and stuff. They've got like vocal packs on it to make like the guards stuff come through with like stormtroopers stuff on it. And then the guy that did this, basically, this is from Deity Vengi on YouTube, said they installed like every single Star Wars mod on Nexus Mods and then started like doing more stuff from there, like additional stuff. At the end, they apparently show like they have like 100+ mods installed, but not all of them are active. But like it also, you do combat and stuff. Like it actually works with all the Starfield stuff.
That's amazing.
It's got a jetpack mod so that you can fly around. There's like ATST bosses. It really just makes me think like, man, I really wish that they made more Star Wars games that I wanted to actually play.
It just makes me like, if this was the game, I would just buy this.
Sure.
I would play it for days.
Yeah.
Like God, it just frustrates me that these aren't the Star Wars games we're getting.
Right. So yeah, you go check it out. Apparently they have a big list of mods at the end, but they do say like, don't just try to do this exactly because it won't totally work. But
it all depends on your system kind of thing.
Yeah. Let's see. Speaking of mods, there is a Witcher 3 mod that lets you revisit the Witcher 1 world. So CD Projekt Red put out their mod kit, and the first thing that somebody did was mod the world of the Witcher 1 into the Witcher 3 engine. And then they also took the time to connect all the areas together because apparently Witcher 1 was notorious for having excessive loading between like small zones. Yeah. This is not, of course, the Witcher 1 remake that CD Projekt Red is actually working on.
Yeah.
But it is interesting. I'm not very familiar with Witcher 1, so
most
this doesn't
people
really
aren't.
mean very much to me.
Yeah.
Like, just kind of looks like generic world.
that was the thing. Witcher 1 and 2 were not exactly like, gangbuster selling. And like I didn't know anyone who played them when Witcher 3 came out.
I beat The Witcher 2.
Did you really?
Yeah. I never finished Witcher 3. Witcher 2 took me a little time to kind of get into it, but I really like that one. I like the way that your choices moved the plot in different directions.
That's fun. Yeah, I don't know anyone who really like... I don't really know if anybody's ever played Witcher 1 that we know.
The problem with Witcher 2 was that you start in jail, and they're asking you about the prologue, and they have like a series of prompts where the guy is asking you to tell him about various things, and they're all tutorials. You're supposed to do them in order. Like the first one is like, follow this lord to the castle so you get used to movement, and it's like, fighting a few guys on foot. And then there was one that's like, so tell me about the dragon. And I was like, yeah, the dragon. And it's like a fight with a dragon. And I didn't even know how to fucking use, I know anything about the video game.
You just went straight to the dragon.
The difference between two swords or any of that stuff. And I was like, fuck this game. And so I remember that The Witcher 2 actually, they were one of the first games where they were like, if you work for a website and you want to copy The Witcher 2, just email us and we will send you a free copy of The Witcher 2. But then they patched a full tutorial before that tutorial into the game, where it's like a little prologue that teaches you everything. Like,
because they probably heard people like running into that issue.
Yeah, they did a lot of work on The Witcher 2. Also, back in those days, CD Projekt Red, when they showed off The Witcher 3, which was very different than what we actually ended up getting at E3, it was like one of the few places that didn't check my. They weren't like prissy about like what press you were.
Yeah.
So I just got to go, and they made an appointment to go see it behind closed doors, and it was like 8 in the morning. It was when Jason and I went to E3. And it was like 8 in the morning, and they were like, beer? And I was like, no, it's 8 in the morning, and they were like, pastry? And I was like, well, yes, I will eat the pastries, but no, I don't want a Polish beer at 8 a.m.
Maybe later if you're still here.
Yeah. And last but not least, Michael, I don't know how up you are with rat beefs, but somebody made a mod to put Drake and Kendrick Lamar as skins in Mortal Kombat 1.
Oh my god.
And it's kind of awesome. I didn't really follow this much because I'm not really big into either one of them, but like it kind of owns as a mod.
Yeah, it's a really fun looking mod.
Yeah.
Oh my god. I love that Drake is Johnny Cage though, so he can have the sunglasses at that one point. It's looking crazy.
Yep, it's pretty funny. You can look at it. It's on Nexus Mods. You can check it out online.
That's so fun.
It's pretty fun. This is a TikTok where they put the Kendrick Lamar song under the gameplay, so it's
why he's being
even funnier.
Drake.
Yeah. And that's it. That's our show. We did end up going over time. Success, I guess, quote unquote.
Yeah.
Michael, tell them where they can find you when you're not over here engaged in marathon fucking podcast with me. Jesus.
You find me on oneofus.net. We do a lot of movie television reviews. I have a overview for The Fall Guy as well as for Furiosa on there.
There you go. Go check them out. You want to hear more of Michael's thoughts on those things, and you definitely should. Yeah, that's RageSelect. It's not 8 a.m., Michael, but I am going to now go get a Danish and a beer because this is a long podcast.
You have the day off.
Yeah.
I don't.
Well, every day is the day off when you work for a video game website. Patreon.com/RageSelect. Get out of my house.